the same time at the Salt Lake County Jail are having an impact on the inmates' living conditions.
We cannot turn off the lights. It's not that we don't want to. It's that we can't. We're unable to.
Chief Deputy Matt Dumont with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office says they've provided inmates with eye masks so they can sleep through the 24/7 brightness. They're also having pre-made meals delivered during their kitchen remodel to meet the one hot meal a day requirement for Utah jails. On top of all that, what looks like mold has been spotted.
As I looked at it, it looks like mold, but it is not mold.
Dumont says they've had it inspected and they've determined it's just discoloration and chipped paint from a leaky roof. They expect construction to wrap up by the end of the year. Our top national story this hour, the latest inflation report is showing some encouraging sign after a rough start to the week.
Not only was inflation cooler than expected in March, it showed a promising long-term trend. Core prices for goods other than food and energy were up by just 0.1%. Their 2.8% yearly increase, the smallest since March of 2021. On the whole, lower energy prices helped bring down inflation in March. They fell by 2.4%. But the report's major caveat, this information predates the trade war escalation. Brian Clark, ABC News.
And your money at this moment, the Dow is now down over 1,000 points, down 1,066. That's 2.6%. We're at 39,541. Coming up, a beautiful day in store. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Ryder. When I go shopping, I'll tell you, these prices are going crazy. And not only the prices, but the portions, the packages are smaller. One thing you can absolutely count on at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is you always get more. You get more great service. That steak you've always counted on, it's still there, the same size on that sizzling 500-degree plate. When you order, of course, the seafood and the poultry dishes, what you've expected in the past, you get now. You can always count on that at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, where everything is prepared perfectly to your taste. You're going to love your experience at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You just can't go wrong. Hotel Park City or downtown Salt Lake City. And with some of the special events now that are just around the corner, make sure you have your reservations all set and ready to go. You can count on Ruth's Chris, Hotel Park City, downtown Salt Lake City.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is an important announcement to anyone facing $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state. Struggling taxpayers can now take advantage of special tax relief programs that could resolve your tax problem, stop collections, and significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Get the relief you need today during these hard economic times. Call Community Taxes Relief Hotline now at 800-741-3179. That's 800-741-3179.
You ever notice when someone takes a sip out of a water bottle and they find it to be really good? They always seem to look at the label. Folks just can't help themselves when they take a sip out of a little spring water bottle. Well, there's a reason it's called nature in a bottle. No chemicals, no additives. It's just pure, clean, healthy water from a family-owned and operated bottled water company. And that little spring is nestled in a beautiful canyon in Bear Lake, Utah. Now, just imagine the reaction from your customers if that bottle of pure goodness wore your logo, designed just right to make your name stand proud. In the advertising world, they call those unique impressions. Of course, when you drink Little Spring Water, you'll just call it impressive. Let Little Spring Water help hand your customers something they will remember. Just visit littlespringwater.com to get a quote. It's actually quite reasonable. littlespringwater.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here's Heather Kelly.
We still have a bit of slowing on I-15, both northbound and southbound through Midvale and Murray. And if you're southbound I-15 in Utah County, you'll be below the speed limit from Main Street and American Fork to 5th East, where we have police activity over on the right shoulder. The earlier crash on the exit ramp from southbound I-15 to 13th South in Salt Lake just cleared. Suffering from ringing in your ears? Don't miss a free event on April 17th to learn about new FDA-approved tinnitus treatment. Visit whydomyearsring.com to learn more. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be warm today, a high of 79, 82 tomorrow, but savor it because we cool off on Sunday, 56 for a high on Sunday. Right now, 54 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. Dave and Dujanovic, special coverage of the top national story.
If you thought that the markets would settle down this morning after the announcement yesterday during our show that President Trump was placing a 90-day pause on tariffs, like me, you'd be wrong again. The Dow down 1,000 points as of right now. Part of it could be because we are in a trade war with China. Trump imposing a 125% tariff on China. And I think what this will mean, Dave, is, like, among other things, what we're going to be seeing is our prices in our Amazon cart are going to go up and up and up.
Okay, tell me more. Why do you think it would affect specifically Amazon?
According to Reuters, half of all of those sellers on Amazon are out of China.
Oh, really?
Half? Yeah. Over 100,000 Amazon businesses are, like, just in one southern city of China alone are registered in that city. So I had no idea.
No idea.
The plethora of Amazon sellers that are out of China. When I'm flipping through, looking for something to buy, I don't always check, to be honest with you. What do you notice about prices and that kind? Have you noticed any jump yet?
Okay, number one, totally surprised with you. I am shocked that China produces basically 50% of Amazon. But if something goes up on Amazon, how would I know? I have absolutely no idea what things cost anymore.
What do you mean, how would you know?
Okay, so I know you're a big game show host.
I actually screen grab. I screenshot items.
Prices?
And then
Debbie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because if you leave it in your cart, it'll go up on its own and you won't know, right? And so I screen grab, and if I'm not going to buy it right away, then I go back and I see if the price has been increased.
Goes up or down?
Yeah. So what do you mean you don't know?
So this is something I've learned about myself recently.
Okay.
I went to the Price is Right. The Price is Right came to town.
Were you a contestant?
I was. I did not get selected. I was hoping to make it to the Showcase Showdown, but I went to the Price is Right. They had a little a fun thing, playing all the games, Plinko. What I realized is I have no idea what things cost in America. Eggs, if they said, hey, Dave, what do eggs cost, or a gallon of milk? But I have no idea what a fountain with a cherub head and, unicorn, riding a unicorn costs. I have no idea what things cost in America.
And how
Price
did this
is
come
Right
out?
showed this.
So how did you figure this out with the Price is Right?
Because every time they'd say, hey, what do you think the price is? I'm like, $97. And it was like $3,057, right? I have no idea what things cost. Because when I go onto Amazon, I'll be honest, I'm looking for an item. So I will Google, sweatpants, right? I have no idea what sweatpants cost, because they can range anywhere from $15 to $150 at Lululemon, right? I just don't know what things cost. So
it's strange to me.
Like you're like, I know exactly what sweatpants cost. I know exactly what exercise bands cost.
I do.
And I looked through my Amazon history, and this was not stuff that I was purchasing often. It was one-offs. It was like, oh, hey, I need a Bluetooth speaker. Something I buy once every 6 years. I have no idea what a reasonable price is. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if China were to raise these prices 10%, 50%, I don't know what it costs anyway. I just look at the item and I think, would I be willing to pay that price right there? Because I have no idea what it cost last week, and I have no idea what it'll cost a week from now.
More. There you go. It'll cost you
more.
Yeah, so Reuters spoke to a man who said he's got his products on Amazon. He sells school bags to, in fact, Bluetooth speakers. He sells Bluetooth speakers as well, speaking of that.
One I purchase every 6 years.
Yeah, and he said he's already raised prices in the U.S. by up to 30%. And they have other examples. There's some, they like a toy manufacturer that sells on Amazon. They sell like building blocks or whatever for $20. And it costs this company $3 to produce them. Like the markup is just extraordinary, isn't it? It costs $3 to produce something you buy for $20. And now that cost is going to $7 which includes the tariff. And so they're already like marking things up by at least 20%. And the higher priced toys will go up as much as 50%.
Okay, that's interesting because you're saying these are from items from China, and they're going to go up 20 or maybe 50%.
The tariff is 125%.
Yes.
I mean, they may adjust.
Yeah.
You know.
That's interesting because logically you think, oh, they're just going to pass that entire cost onto the consumer. It's going to go up 125%. But even the retailers, they're looking at it and say, let's just move it up a little bit more.
At what point do you stop buying? Even though you don't know, I know it's a great question, Dave, because I've been thinking about it all. I have already stopped buying. I already have stopped buying. I check my Amazon account, and there's been times, and if you follow us on the show, there's been times I've deliberately deleted my Amazon app just to stop the urge to spend. Because when you don't have the app downloaded or you don't have your credit card attached to it, it becomes more of a hassle and a headache.
Yeah.
So, I have stopped the spending that way, but not this time. This time is more deliberate. Like, I have the app on my phone. My credit card is attached. I can buy anything at any time within reason, if it's in my budget. And the last time I bought something on Amazon was a couple of weeks ago. And I specifically remember I was standing in the Walmart, and I needed a very specific kind of carpet cleaner. I know this is so weird, right? And they didn't have it. That's okay. They were just sold out. So I checked the Walmart app, and whatever, through thick and thin, I ended up on the Amazon app. I don't think because I was in the store for some reason, that Walmart app wouldn't know. But anyway, I ended up on Amazon, and I ordered my carpet cleaner for the first time in my life through that Amazon app. But I have noticed, I think with just the idea of prices going up, it's kind of settled in because President Trump's been talking about tariffs. There was big, beautiful tariffs for quite some time. I have deliberately started to step away from those impulse buys where Amazon is just so brilliant at. It's just so brilliant, right? I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm like, I'm out of whatever, olive oil. I'll check Amazon. Oh, it'll be here tonight. That's convenient. I wonder if it'll be here in time for dinner. I'll check it out, I'll order that. So I have already started to do that. I don't know how much I'll be able to track I've screen grabbed my next Amazon purchase and kept it in my photos to see how much it actually goes up. That's not really realistic long term. But I think I've kind of sidelined Amazon already.
So what's it going to take? You asked me, what is it going to take for you to stop using Amazon? And I'm going to say it's going to sound way cheekier than it is. Like, I don't mean it to be as soon as the price is too high. And the reason the reason I say that is because can I rattle off my last 4 purchases on Amazon? Like, and you say, I totally know what these things cost. I know what everything costs. Okay. So if it goes up 20%, I'm going to know. Yeah. I bought a 4-pack of gel pens, which makes me realize all the crazy stuff that you just buy. Like this is so eclectic.
$8.
$8? It's $6.39.
I was close.
Okay,
mine's post-tariff.
That's what it would cost post-tariff.
Yeah, post-tariff. Mine was
All
a
right,
post-tariff, yes.
You were off by $2, which is, about 40%. A ring holder display case.
What are you doing? Are you opening a jewelry shop?
Listen, I'm not saying it makes sense, the things I buy. I'm just saying the last 4 things.
How many rings does it hold? How many of your diamonds rings
probably
does it hold?
40. Probably 40.
Oh.
Here, there you go.
I'd say it's $23.
Okay, that's $8.99. Right? We just don't know what things cost.
Yeah.
Okay, final one. Final one. I got to use this. We've got a 30-pack of paper towels.
What are you doing over there?
I'm just collecting paper towels.
That's gonna be $27.
Yeah, $48.
That's way too much.
Probably is.
It's way too much.
I'm sure it is. Again, I have no idea if that's way too much because I don't know what things cost. So the point I'm making is if you tack on a 20% tariff or a 50% tariff, everything that you were saying, your guesses were within 20 to 50% or maybe even 100%, because I don't think if it were gasoline, if it were eggs, if it were the kind of thing that we were purchasing every single day, that is where we will see it. I don't think we'll see it on Amazon because there's such a wild difference of what prices can be.
Well, when you mean see it, I think it will happen on Amazon. I think we probably you're suggesting is we won't notice it.
We won't feel it. Yes.
We won't
recognize.
be aware of it. Well, Reuters is reporting that sellers on Amazon. There's half of the sellers on Amazon are Chinese company. China is home to around half of Amazon sellers. Who knew? That's new information to me. And I do wonder if what we're seeing on the stock market today, which it's in the red, down 1,000 points on the Dow, has to do with the fact that we are in a tariff war with China. President Trump putting a pause on those other tariffs for 90 days, but not with China. It's at 125%. Robert Spendlove, senior economist with Zions Bank. We are paying you overtime these last few days, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us.
I even have some breaking news for you.
Please.
The White House just clarified that the new tariffs on China, or the total, is 145%, not 125. Because what they're saying is the 125 is the new reciprocal tariff rate, but that's added on top of the 20% fentanyl tariff that was imposed earlier. So the total just of the ones for 2025 is 145%.
Robert, we brought you on to bring us a little ray of sunshine, and you definitely did not bring the sunshine. Holy smokes. You're right, because I guess it's hard to keep track of all the tariffs because they have been rolled out in such stages. I just assumed that was the big round number, 125% tariff. Does it change anything significantly, whether you're taxing or tariffing at 125% versus 145 versus 160? At some point, it just seems so outrageous that do these points even matter at this time?
Yeah, I had a friend that said, let's just go to 1,000%. Let's just eliminate, because the effect of this, if you keep playing it out, this is that trade war. We just keep retaliating over and over. This clarification could also be a retaliation. And so it just keeps building more and more. And eventually you just shut down the border to Chinese goods, and they shut down their border to U.S. goods. And, and so then it goes back to that question, do you really care about getting that product on Amazon that actually came from China? And so then you kind of start to go into the substitution effect of saying, okay, if you can't get that gel pen, then, what can you substitute that for? With food, it's really hard to substitute. We need food, but you don't need those specific food items. So if you can't get avocados anymore, maybe you'll have to use butter, or maybe you'll have to use cottage cheese. And so it's all that question of substitution and whether those costs will be passed along to the consumer.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that our Utah businesses that rely on bringing in goods from China are happy about this.
Oh, no, this is an existential threat to those businesses. If you are a business that either uses specifically Chinese goods for your final product, or if you're exporting to China. A lot of our agriculture industry exports overseas, and a lot of that goes to China. And so you're looking at this and you're saying, well, it may be a little change in the price for the consumer, but for that business, it could put them out of business. And that's what we're seeing. That's a lot of the stress that we're seeing in the business sector right now, especially those small businesses that can't renegotiate these deals like Walmart can.
Robert, I want to ask you the question of who blinks first, because I can go without the gel pens. I can go without the ring holder. I can go without the paper towels, or I can perhaps buy them from somewhere else. China has 15% of its economy is exports, and we are obviously the largest consumer in the world. I just don't see any world, or is there any way that China doesn't blink first, since we're the ones consuming all their goods?
Yeah, and that's the real game of chicken. Is the U.S. economy is only 15% tied to export activity, to international trade. So it will hurt if we were to completely shut down our international trade. With China, it would be crushing. Their consumers don't spend like we do. They're reliant on that export economy, and China is already in an economic downturn. Their housing market is in big trouble. Their business market is in trouble. And so what's happening right now could push China into a recession. And if China reacts too strongly, say they sell all of their U.S. Treasury bonds, that would also push them into a recession. So that's kind of the calculation that's going on right now between Washington and Beijing.
Before we let you go, Robert, do you think that this trade war is what is driving the market down after just an incredible surge yesterday afternoon after President Trump made that announcement about the pause on tariffs? Or is there another factor at play here with what we're seeing in the markets today?
Well, what you're seeing, this is kind of the definition of volatility. So we're seeing high volatility in the markets right now. There's actually we call it the volatility index, or the fear index in the markets. So before this week, that volatility index was right around 20. This week, it spiked up to 50, 60. We're at the levels that we were seeing early in the pandemic and in the fall of 2008 during the beginning of the financial crisis. And that volatility started moving up again today. Right now, it's at about 40. And so what we're seeing is this high level of fear and uncertainty that's gripping markets. And also, even though things may be better than they were at the beginning of yesterday, they're still not better. So, we've kind of reduced our probability of a recession, but it's still a lot higher than it was a month ago or at the beginning of the year. And that's what kind of the professional money managers are reacting to.
I learned a new thing, the volatility index. There's another index I got to follow, Robert. Thank you so much for joining us, senior economist with Zions Bank.
Dave, that's another difference between you and me. I check the volatility meter almost every single day. I do. I check the stock futures and the volatility meter. And that's where we're at right now. Dow down 1,000 points as of a few minutes ago. The NASDAQ down. The S&P 500 down. We'll continue to keep an eye on this. Thanks so much to Robert Spendler for once again jumping on the line and helping us sort through what is happening.
Not only did I learn about the volatility index, but I've also learned a new term. Have you ever heard of the dead cat bounce? The dead cat bounce is when stocks rebound briefly in a moment of free fall or certainty. It's known this because it's kind of macabre, but even a dead cat will bounce when it falls from a great enough height. So what we may be seeing today is the markets are down. What are they down? Over 1,000 points right now.
Dow was down.
Dow's down 1,000 points, is referred to as the dead cat bounce.
Well, if you've bounced a payment in your checking account lately and forked out that $35 overdraft fee, stay tuned. We have some more bad news for you.
Hey, this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Imagine struggling with a slow, outdated computer that takes forever to load anything, that randomly freezes up and is filled with viruses and malware.
Now picture yourself with a powerful desktop or laptop that runs smoothly and efficiently, making your work and entertainment seamless. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else do you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
My name is Mac Davis, and I have been on the SOTA weight loss program for 14 weeks now. I have dropped 38 pounds.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's been remarkably easy to follow the program. It's been amazing.
SOTA weight loss works.
Who would have thought that I would be able to lose over 100 pounds? I thought that there was no way that I could do that without having some kind of invasive surgery or diet pill or some other means.
Let SOTA Weight Loss teach you the healthy, natural way to let go of the weight for good.
The best decision I've made in a long time was just to call SOTA Weight Loss.
Join SOTA Weight Loss with your partner and only pay for one person. Lose weight together.
Double the motivation, double the results, half the cost. Take advantage of SOTA Weight Loss 2-for-1 partner program. Visit SOTAweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and let's face it, it's time to update the look of your home's exterior. When was that thing built? In the 50s, 70s, 90s, the 2000s? Well, it's looking like it. Faded siding, drafty windows, leaky gutters. It's time to take action now. RGS Exteriors has been taking Utah homes from drab to fab for over 5 generations. We only use the highest quality materials, like James Hardie siding and gutter topper gutter covers. You will be blown away by how much different and better and awesome your house can look. Your neighbors will be jealous, your home value will go up, and most of all, you're going to love it. Everything we do comes with our industry-leading 10-year everything guarantee, so you can sleep like a baby, knowing if anything goes wrong, you're 100% covered. For a free estimate on your gutters, windows, siding, or anything on your outside of your home, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're driving to work or you're driving the kids to a soccer game, we're your in-car companions.
People will come up to me and say, "Oh, I talk to you every day. You don't realize it because I'm talking at the radio, but I talk to you every day."
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story. The markets are back in negative territory today after President Trump announced a pause on tariffs in every country except China. China's tariffs rose, now 125% for imported goods. Businesses who import the goods are the ones who pay the tariff, and many economists are warning of higher prices on everything from clothing to electronics to groceries. More from ABC's Karen Travers at the White House.
They're not giving details of what exactly they're discussing with these countries, what they're looking to see as concessions to get these deals across the finish line. 75 countries, they say, have reached out to try and strike some sort of trade deal. They now have this 90-day pause to continue these negotiations.
Tariffs on steel and aluminum imports are still in place, and some goods from Mexico and Canada have a 25% tariff. The International Olympic Committee is addressing whether ongoing trade wars could impact future Olympic Games in the U.S. IOC Olympic Games Executive Director Christophe Duby says saying whether tariffs will or won't have an impact would be speculation at this point.
Being 10 years out or two, you might face anything. And we have to be confident.
Duby told members of the media they need to build upon the work done between LA's 2028 Olympic leaders and Washington and stay positive. Utah's committee head Fraser Bullock says they don't anticipate any impact on the 2034 games either. Your money at this moment. The Dow is down further than it was a half hour ago. The Dow is now down 1,241 points. That's 3%. We're at 39,367. Coming up, sunshine and a beautiful day in store for us. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Over 3/4 of Americans suffer with foot pain every day. But Foot Solutions in Orem is here to give back your quality of life. Meet Patty.
I'm Patty from Saratoga Springs. I'm 74 years old. I just one day felt like I had a really bad stone bruise on the bottom of my foot. So I actually went to the doctor and he goes, "You've got a severe case of plantar fasciitis." I'm really an active person. I work outside a lot in my yard. I like to kayak, and it was slowing me down from being able to launch my kayak. I could hardly get to the bathroom in the morning. The pain was so stabbing and bad.
What made the difference for Patty?
I discovered Foot Solutions in Orem. I was talking to a friend that I knew had plantar fasciitis, and she said, "Have you tried Foot Solutions?" I went there and got some great orthotics and some cute supportive shoes. Then in about a month, the pain was almost completely gone. Talk about relief.
You deserve a life free of foot pain. Just search for Foot Solutions in Orem and find out more at footsolutions.com.
You really ought to go there. It's a good place.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we still have a bit of delay northbound I-15 through most of Murray. It's due to an accident in the cleanup stages halfway in between 4,500 and 3,300 south. It's over on the left shoulder, but you've got a lot of flashing lights there with the tow truck on scene in UHP, so that's what's slowing everybody down. Otherwise, you're almost back to normal freeway speeds pretty much everywhere else. You might see a few brake lights, I-15 in American Fork area in both directions, as well as I-80 eastbound through the road construction zone near 7,200 west. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, endless possibilities with 3 locations: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota. Where excellence is standard, start your search at performancebountiful.com. And if you do see something on the roads, let us know at Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be warm today, a high of 79, 82 tomorrow, but then we cool down to 56 for a high on Sunday. Right now it's 55 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If you have bounced a payment in your checking account and forked out maybe a $35 overdraft fee, well, we have more bad news for you. In terms of an update on banking overdraft fees, it seems like the late fees, of course, service fees and junk fees, were something that actually Biden and Trump the Trump administration kind of could agree on.
There are tens of billions of dollars in other junk fees across the economy, and I've directed my administration to reduce or eliminate them.
In fact, President Trump brought musician Kid Rock into the Oval Office to announce a crackdown, like an executive order, on concerts and fees.
You buy a ticket for $100. By the time you check out, it's $170. You don't know what you can charge for.
But it seems as though the country's not on the same page anymore. At least not Washington D.C. not on the same page anymore. So the United States House of Representatives overturned a Biden rule that limits bank overdraft fees to $5.
Boo. A big old boo on this, Deb.
And this is just happening.
Oh,
this is happening. We are like in the moment. This is happening right now.
What frustrates me is whenever Washington has a good idea, they are just absolutely bent on ruining a good idea. And limiting these draft fees and these late fees was a good idea, even if it did come from the Biden administration. Because what was once a courtesy has now turned into a profit line for banks. In fact, they are making billions of dollars off of late fees, overdraft fees. There's fees that I've never even heard of, and we just pay it and we pay it because that's what our bank tells us to do. And when the Biden administration said, it's not going to be $35. For example, I've been bitten by this so many times, Debbie, more than I want to admit. I'm not a fastidious tracker of my money. You know, I absolutely can run out of money, and then I will swipe my card, buy a drink, go to another place, buy a cheeseburger, and then buy some plumbing supplies. I probably spent $10, but I once walked away. I'll never forget this. It was 3 late fees in the same day because I lost track. I lost track of my account because my Major League Baseball subscription went through. It was $130 that went out of my account. I didn't realize it. So I was at zero. I made 3 purchases. Very cheap. I was zero.
Like a $1 soda.
Yeah, a $1 soda, $35 fee. $3 cheeseburger, $35 fee.
You're just driving around swiping your card.
I'm swiping around. I'm like, I got all the money in the world. I've got dozens of dollars.
There's a cure
in my
for that,
account.
Dave. There's a cure for that.
Don't buy things.
Well, pay more attention.
This was before the apps, right? This was before you'd get alerted. Hey, you've overdrafted or you've overdrawn. And it wasn't until I got my monthly statement that I saw, my goodness, I just lost $105. Is
that how that went? My goodness. Look at me.
No, it was. I threw things. I'm like, unbelievable.
Did you go to the bank and beg?
I did.
For mercy?
I went and I asked them, and they're like, oh, we can waive $35 of that.
Oh, that was nice.
I'm like, awesome, thanks, but you're going to still hit me for the $70, right? And that right there is not taking care of the customer. This is not hurting my bank at all, right? It was 24 hours or 48 hours of me being, taking advantage of them with my $1 soda. And they deemed me for $70 worth of overdraft fees, and I was so furious. And this was not the only time it happened, right? Because, again, I'm not great at tracking my money. So I've done this time and time again, and I've paid so much money in fees. I love this idea that they had this limit of, hey, it's going to cost you $5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not anymore. It sounds like this rule is going to get rolled back. And banks had said that, look, if we don't charge $35 or something like that, or whatever, $25, $35 for overdraft fees, we only charge $5, then we're not going to be able to offer like line of credit protection. And I have line of credit. So it's attached to for those of you who don't have it, it's just attached essentially to my checking account. And it's a couple $1,000s. I don't need a lot of line of credit. If I overdraft, I don't overdraft. I pay attention to my money. Sorry. There's so many layers to what you just said. That rant you just went through. That was like, oh, I got it. We'll like let's peel back that onion in just a moment, one layer at a time. But what they said is something to the effect of, if we don't collect these overdraft fees from the Dave Noriegas of the world, then for the Debbie Dujanovics of the world, we won't be able to offer overdraft protection. And I don't pay anything for overdraft protection. I suppose if I dipped into it and I let it ride for a while, maybe I had to dip into it $1,000 or something like that, and I didn't pay it back, there would be interest that I would pay. But I don't get dinged for using my line of credit. It's not called overdraft protection. I think it's specifically called a line of credit. So that's how I kind of work it. But I also there's two ways that I look at this. A $35 fee when I'm broke is how I get broker, right? I mean, it's just how I get broker. And if I'm you and I'm running around the valley swiping my card, thinking I'm flush with $130 of cash in my checking account that I didn't realize that my MLB app just took out for my annual renewal, yeah, I could see where now $105 in fees. Yeah, I would be broker than I was when I started out on my journey across the valley swiping my debit card. But I also look at this as like personal responsibility too.
True.
With our money.
There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's personal responsibility. And however, there's a lot of money that the banks collect or consumers pay. Like, it's billions of dollars. Banks currently earn $8 billion a year from overdraft charges. And for those who get dinged like you, I feel bad.
It's about $225 per household annually. That's what the AP is reporting. It's about $225 per household. That's what we're paying. So I'm not the aberration, Debbie. You're the aberration, right? Most of us, we get dinged by it. It happens. And I understand there needs to be some protections for banks. We just can't have people out there spending money that they don't have and charging thousands of dollars. There's a huge difference between that and the bank floating us $50 for a few days because we may have lost track a little bit, right? There are some reasonable parameters that you can put in place. But again, to this point, what was originally supposed to be a courtesy so that we don't bounce checks.
They would put the payment through, but then they would ding you the fee.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was a reasonable fee, and it was more of a reminder, almost like a fatherly hug, like, hey, buddy, I'm going to slap you on the hand a little bit, but, let's make sure we get this taken care of. Well, it's turned into a massive profit line. When you're talking about $8 billion of profit in these overdraft fees, that's staggering.
We have some breaking news right now. House Speaker Mike Johnson addressing the media regarding a vote on the budget. Let's listen in live and figure out what's going on.
That's available to them. So you'll see how that works out.
Yeah, can you give some areas of spending cuts you're looking at? Because you said you've been working on this for a while, so you must know where you're going to cut.
Yeah, we have big menus of options and items in 11 different committees of jurisdiction, and one of the big ones is energy and commerce because they have such a broad jurisdiction, and that's where you'll be looking at, Medicaid, for example, which is the thing that the Democrats are trying to, frankly, lie to the American people about. No one has talked about cutting one benefit in Medicaid to anyone who's duly owed. What we've talked about is returning work requirements. So, for example, you don't have able-bodied young men on a program that's designed for single mothers and the elderly and disabled. They're draining resources from people who are actually do that. So if you clean that up and shore it up, you save a lot of money and you return the dignity of work to young men who need to be out working instead of playing video games all day. We have a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse in Medicaid. Just one tiny example. The estimate is $51 billion a year in Medicaid is lost to fraud. That's unconscionable. We now have, with the DOGE efforts and with new algorithms and with new oversight responsibilities and opportunities, we have ability to carve that out. We have a responsibility to do it. That estimate by some people Some estimates say that is very low. It's actually much higher than that. So we're going to go through, carve out, find these savings, low-hanging fruit, and examples like that. There's a lot of it in the federal government. I mean, look, we have a $36 trillion federal debt right now. We're running deficits every year. It's not the way to run our country. We need to return to fiscal sanity, and that's what the Republican Party represents. And you know what? That's good for every American.
But sir, the instructions are $800 billion for these committees.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying there is $800 billion in fraud, waste, and abuse?
I'm saying that the categories of fraud, waste, and abuse, in addition to the other areas that we've been looking at for almost a year now, that we can find well more than $800 billion in savings, and we will. And that's what we committed to. That's what.
Because the markets are down 1,300 points, and you talked about sending them a strong signal that Congress is doing its work. I mean, obviously, we saw the president put the pause on his tariffs. Does he need to just end them, scrap them at this point?
No, I'm going to let
give the markets more certainty.
I'm delighted to let the president make the decisions on that. I mean, he and I spoke yesterday about the spike in the stock market after the pause, and I think he recognized the moment was right to do it, and that seems to be a great decision. So we're going to let him do that. I'm going to do my job over here, but I do hope and believe that the vote today is a very strong signal to the markets, to investors, job creators, entrepreneurs, the people that make the economy run, that the Congress is going to get us on sound footing. And you can count on that, and you can bet on it, and you ought to, I think today would be a great day to buy stocks. Thank you.
That's House Speaker Mike Johnson. Looks like there's a press gaggle right there in the House talking about what just happened back in Washington, D.C. The headline on News Nation is the House passes Trump's big, beautiful budget bill. They passed the resolution very narrowly. It was a 216 to 214 vote. Dave, what have you been able to learn about that over there?
A few things. The extension of the Trump tax cuts, that's part of this big, beautiful bill. So the 2017 tax cuts that have been in place, and obviously during tax season right now, we've been doing this for quite a while, or running our taxes through this. That was set to expire at the end of the year. So this would extend that. Could be $800 billion to $1.5 trillion in spending cuts in the new plan. So those are two of the biggest things that this bill would accomplish.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
I'm Paul. I'm a contractor. I had a tax problem that was pretty significant. Needed some help with the IRS. I had prepared my taxes for a few years, but when I went to file them, I didn't have any money to pay those taxes. And so I just filed the returns in my drawer and went about my business. And about 3 years went by when I did that, and pretty soon I owed $102,000. And I met with Jordan, and we talked about the hole I dug myself into. And from start to finish, the process was encouraging, supportive, saved me about $80,000, $102,000 to $22,000. No complaints.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Schedule your free consultation today. Visit endtaxworry.com.
The relief is immeasurable.
Don't wait. End your nightmare. Your relief starts at endtaxworry.com.
Every year, we seem to have a few people trying to get our free furnace promotion after the sale has ended. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I know you want to save as much money as you can, but that's not how sales work. When they're over, they're over. Lucky for you, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than April 30th, and once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads, so don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, don't be one of those people that wishes they had called and taken advantage of our free furnace sale. The estimate's free, and we'll make sure you have all of the information you need to decide if our free furnace sale is right for you. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Advanced Window Products. $2,500 off 10 windows or more. AdvancedWindows.com. Affordable windows. Guaranteed.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio. Well, when we walked into the newsroom this morning, it appeared as though the vote had been halted, but now House Speaker Mike Johnson, just meeting with the press moments ago, the House has indeed passed the blueprint for President Donald Trump's big, beautiful budget bill. And it very narrowly passed, 216 to 214. Nonetheless, it passed. The vote was initially halted this morning over some spending cut disagreements. But Dave and I have been trying to research exactly, not all the details of what's in this budget bill, but a few of the details, Dave.
A couple things that stood out to me, and we will have to see what the latest bill looks like. But this bill was part of that campaign promise of no tax on tips. Or this was something that was very
That's
popular.
Right. A lot of people that I know who work in the service industry, you have children who work in the service industry, were very curious about this. Do you think it still includes that?
It looks like the no tax on tips, the no tax on Social Security income may have gone through, as well as additional spending, about $175 billion for Trump's deportation operation.
How much?
$175 billion.
Okay.
Yeah, to the deportation operation. The Defense Department, I think, got a similar bump of $175 billion. So those are a couple of the headlines that we are seeing from this budget that was passed.
Set a mandate, according to News Nation, of $1.5 trillion in spending cuts to balance out the tax cuts. So we'll see how this all ends up aligning with the Senate. But this is a major move this morning, and a series of major moves that have been happening for the last couple of weeks, including yesterday's rollback, or at least pause of a 90-day pause of the tariffs that Trump had implemented last week. That sent the stock market reeling, and then eventually started to tap into the bond market, which put things on a little more wobbly ground as of yesterday morning, and then Trump making the announcement that he was at least temporarily rolling back the tariffs on numerous countries except for China. We learned this morning that those tariffs, according to Robert Spendlove, of senior economist of Zions Bank, are now at 145%, which, of course, are up from 125% yesterday and 84% earlier this week.
Part of what is so interesting about the Big Beautiful Bill, and the reason I'm saying the Big Beautiful Bill is because that's what they're calling it. They're calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. The reason it hasn't passed is not because of Democrats, it's because of Republicans.
There were some holdouts.
They were having a hard time getting Republicans on board for this, and there were still negotiations that were going in the
Senate. They wanted more spending cuts.
Yeah.
I think some of them did anyway. They wanted more, deeper spending cuts, and so they were having some angst over this, but it appears some of them got on board.
Part of the problem, and this is a little bit of the struggle with the math that is out there, and this is what I think Senator Rand Paul called fuzzy math, is when you're looking at the 2017 tax cuts and extending those, that is obviously a decrease in revenue. If they were to expire and the corporate tax would go up and the income tax would go up, then that would generate revenue. Well, but by extending them, it prevents some of that revenue that they were expecting. Now, we've been living under the last, 6, 7, 8 years under these tax cuts. So that's part of the discussion of, okay, where's the math gonna math? How are we gonna figure out and balance this budget? Because Republicans want to see massive reductions in government spending, but at the same time, when you extend tax cuts, that's preventing revenue from coming into the government.
The other thing that the House did is approve this bill requiring proof of United States citizenship in order to cast a ballot, in order to vote. We are going to be gathering up details about the impact of that measure throughout the show today and have more information for you in our 11 o'clock hour on that one. So lots going on back in Washington, D.C. Also a lot going on in the stock market once again today. If you were like me and thought, well, maybe with the Trump rollback of the tariffs, things would settle down on the market. No, you'd be wrong, just like me. The Dow down almost 1,400 points as of right now. But maybe this market slide has many of you, like us, inside your own heads. Should I or shouldn't I buy on the dip? Like, buy on the dip? Well, it turns out you're better off being what's called a debt investor.
My favorite term.
I'll explain what that is to you,
It's almost as good
Dave.
as the dead cat rebound.
Okay. What is a debt investor and why are you good? Why is it okay for you to be one of them? I'll explain next.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
Do you hear buzzing or ringing in your ears? Tinnitus is real, but so are solutions. Dr. Lane Garrett, a tinnitus specialist and author of Take Your Life Back, invites you to a free tinnitus educational event where you'll learn about real treatments that actually work. This free event is Thursday, April 17th at 7 p.m. at the Hampton Inn in Orem. Here's Dr. Garrett.
At this event, I'll explain what causes tinnitus and when you should be concerned. I'll also talk about the latest research and separate facts from fiction. And finally, I'll talk about treatment options, including Lanier, which was recently approved by the FDA for the treatment of tinnitus.
And here's the best part. Everyone who attends gets a free copy of Dr. Garrett's book, Take Your Life Back. Plus, you can schedule a complimentary tinnitus consultation at one of 2 Utah clinics. Seats are very limited and they fill up fast, so don't wait. Visit whydomyearsring.com or call 801-770-4133 to RSVP for this April 17th event to learn more. Let's quiet the noise and bring back your peace. Visit whydomyearsring.com.
Attention, RV owners or RV wannabe owners. It's the used RV blowout sale. RVs from all over the Intermountain West have been sent to the Layton Hills Mall for this RV liquidation event. Repos, buybacks, rental returns, and trade-ins. Blowout pricing. Every RV has been inspected and serviced and ready to go. Free admission, free parking. Dealers welcome. It's the used RV blowout sale. This Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to dusk. Go to UtahRVEvent.com. Sponsored by Paris RV. Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores. We're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH. That sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour is developing news. The House, over the past 30 minutes, narrowly passed the Republican blueprint budget bill. House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke to reporters at the Capitol just moments ago about how he got the Republican holdouts on board.
We take thoughtful discussion and deliberation. Sometimes we do it out in open. Sometimes we do it in closed meetings. But we had that until late last night. I did more of it this morning. I want to compliment our president, President Trump, who is always engaged with us and available and accessible. He didn't have to call a single member to wrangle anybody on this thing. He allowed me the space to do what I need to do, and we got the votes together, and we reaffirmed our commitment.
Johnson says he's dedicated to find savings while protecting essential government programs. We will continue to follow that story as it develops. New public transit routes and services across the state will open this upcoming Sunday and Monday. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Utah Transit Authority's service coverage will increase by more than 100,000 service hours and 1.1 million service miles this weekend as part of UTA's April Change Day. Planned updates include additional bus routes, 350 new stops, and increased frequency for routes in Salt Lake, Utah, and Davis counties. Some of the most influential changes include a new bus service through Bluffdale, Harriman, and Riverton, and direct TRAX access to the ballpark at America First Square.
More details can be found at kslnewsradio.com. Your money at this moment, the Dow is now down 4 0.1%. That's 1,661 points. We're back under 39,000 at 38,944. Coming up, extra warm for the next couple of days. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Ryder. When I go shopping, I'll tell you, these prices are going crazy. And not only the prices, but the portions, the packages are smaller. One thing you can absolutely count on at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is you always get more. You get more great service. That steak you've always counted on, it's still there, the same size on that sizzling 500-degree plate. When you order, of course, the seafood and the poultry dishes, what you've expected in the past, you get now. You can always count on that at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, where everything is prepared perfectly to your taste. You're going to love your experience at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. You just can't go wrong. Hotel Park City or downtown Salt Lake City. And with some of the special events now that are just around the corner, make sure you have your reservations all set and ready to go. You can count on Ruth's Chris, Hotel Park City, downtown Salt Lake City.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Whether you're shaping up a small yard or tackling serious acreage, Steel walk-behind zero-turn and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow. Available at participating dealers.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here is Heather Kelly.
We are accident-free all across the Wasatch Front, although we do have a stalled semi northbound I-15 right at the top of the on-ramp from 5th East and American Fork. It's on the right shoulder, not causing any slowdowns. In fact, the only slowdowns you may run into is just where we have some construction zones, especially on Bangerter Highway in Riverton and West Jordan. And, of course, I-80, both eastbound and westbound between 5600 and 7200 West. You're down to one lane in that area. Murdoch Hyundai, home of 3.99% for 6 years on Santa Fe, Tucson, or Elantra. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures will be 10 degrees above normal for the next 3 days. Today, we should get up to 79, 82 tomorrow. Right now, it's 61 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Let's talk about when stocks dive, how it just kind of made me feel a little bit lost or guilty, or the need perhaps to jump into the stock market and buy on the dip, but we don't know what we're doing, and then the stocks go back up, and then we're like, oh, we missed out. Let's talk about why it is better off that you are a dead investor versus one who tries to buy on the dip and outsmart and outpace the market.
A dead investor.
Yep.
That's a term I want to explore because I'm not exactly sure what a dead investor is. But when you talk about these dips, we're looking at one right now, Debbie. After yesterday's incredible rebound, we are seeing it. It's down 1,700 points right now. The Dow is down to 38,909.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are seeing this. So I do wonder, when you're looking at it in a very short-term way, that's very easy to panic and get frustrated and start worrying about your finances. If you're a retiree, absolutely. Fixed income, I get that. But if you have some runway, this is the perfect time to invest in the market. If you trust in the market and you think historically it's going to skyrocket like it has, then you want to buy in these dips. But how many of us actually know how to do that, or even should we even be bothering with this line of thinking?
So the market's been sliding, the stock market's been sliding since like last Thursday, right? I'm on a road trip back home. I have no idea what's going on, totally oblivious. I get home, I'm like, what? Well, it was, Liberation Day and the tariffs, and the stock market starts to slide. And then Friday, I'm sorry I took a day off of work, because all I did is sit around and watch the stock market go down, down, down. I'm like, oh, I can't stop this freight train. My pit in my stomach didn't go away all weekend. And then Monday we wake up to the same thing. But who among us hasn't thought like, oh, I'll just get a couple $1,000s together over here and I'll see if I can wheel and deal my way into a good deal here in the stock market. So even separate of like your IRA or 401k, if you have one of those, even $400 or $500, and I've seen people all over social media say, I've got $200 and I'm going to invest it in this stock, and I've got $400 and I'm going to buy on the dip, and I'm planning on making all kinds of money. Haven't you thought that
Absolutely.
from time to time?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I've been disappointed when I think, oh, I should have bought this stock, and I didn't either have the money or I didn't have the guts to buy that stock, and then all you do is you watch it for the rest of your life soar. Like, why didn't I buy Tesla at $73? Why didn't I buy Tesla at $73? Why didn't I buy Bitcoin? When it was $25,000 and it's $83,000
It was $25,000. It used to be a couple $100, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's when you want to buy it.
Yeah.
You don't want to buy it at $25,000.
You would be celebrating. You'd be doing a dance right now if you bought it at $25,000.
Yeah, because it's gone up so much.
Yeah, because it's tripled since then. So I think when we look at this, I want to know, at what point can I play around and invest on my own, or should I just leave it up to the professionals?
You are better off, according to the CNBC article, being what's called a dead investor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dead. What does that mean?
Quite frankly, this is not your lane of expertise.
True.
There's a lot of other factors working against you. Like, you're on the radio for 3 hours a day and have a lot of other things to do with your job that you're not paying attention to every move of the stock market. So, if you're on the radio for 3 hours and things start going south, what are you going to be day trading over there? No, you're not.
It's kind of how we think sometimes, though. I think we're like, oh, I don't need it to be a full-time day trader, but I could be a little day trader.
Plus, you're a lot like me. I did this once with the stock. I'm like, I'm going to go and just freewheel it and buy this stock on my own, separate of any sort of long-term savings accounts that I had. And it, like 2 days after I bought it, the company went bankrupt, and it's like the stock was worthless. So according to this article, the average investor would do better if you are just a dead investor. You buy and you hold. And ideally, buying and holding would mean like in a 401k or in a mutual fund, and you just ride it out. You don't try to get into the day trading game. Part of the reason for this is you are an emotional train wreck when your money starts to disappear on you, right? And so you would get in the habit, like a lot of people do, of buying high and selling low, which is a really bad idea if you plan on making money. And in fact, this article, I want to get to the bottom of this article. I'm scrolling. I thought this was an excellent example of how it works if you buy and hold. Like, you just don't do anything with your money. If you had, this example is, if you have a $10,000 investment, let's just pretend like we're flush with cash here. We got $10,000, and you invested it in an S&P 500 from 2005 to last year. So almost 20-year run.
Okay.
The buy and hold investor would have had almost $72,000. Now, remember, that's the dead investor. You basically are like, well,
doing nothing, stayed out of its way.
Right? You don't even have a pulse when it comes to this. You don't even hardly pay attention
Your
to it.
$10,000 investment just turned into $72,000?
At the end of almost 20 years.
Okay.
That's almost a 10.5% return on your investment per year. So that's an average return of 10.5% if you're the dead investor. Meanwhile, if you are the investor who is like not the dead investor, you're very involved and you're freaked out all the time, you could potentially miss the best days of the market, right? You think you're going to outsmart the market. You're not going to do that. So if you miss the 10 best days of the market because you are on radio, and you can't buy and sell and do your day trading thing when you're on the radio, you would have only $33,000. So instead of that 72,000,
Wow.
if you would have bought and hold, you'll have about less than half of that.
Can I share an experience? I'm looking at
Yeah.
it at mine right now. I don't buy individual stocks ever. I've purchased them once, and I bought American Airlines in the middle of the pandemic when no one was traveling, and it was $8, right? So I put $500 in.
Oh, good.
I bought $500
Sure.
at $8, and I was just like, all right,
Seems like you're buying low.
buying low.
Okay.
And then I thought, once the pandemic's done, people are going to start traveling again. This is going to go up. And then I forgot about it. And I've looked over the last 5 years, and it's gone from $8 to $18.
Nice.
Now, right now, it's back down to $9. So I've gained a whole dollar, But I look at it, and I thought, just because I had forgotten about it, I missed out on this. I could have sold it for 17. I could have made it more than 100% on my investment, but because I don't look at it, or the times I do look at it, I think it's going to go just a little bit higher. I'm going to wait for it to go just a little bit higher. I've missed out on it. And this is something that if you're a professional, you're not going to miss out on these.
No, because you're sitting there watching the screens all day.
Yeah.
And you know what you're working with. You're educated on it. But let me get back to that $72,000 you would have had over 20 years. If you missed the 10 best days, you would have halved that investment or your gains to $33,000 would be your total. But if you missed the 20 best days, which you would over 20 years, right? Like you're gone on vacation,
Yeah.
you're not paying
Yeah.
attention to it. You don't have any sort of access to internet. You can't make the trade you need to make in the moment. If you missed the 20 best days in the market, you would have ended up, that $10,000 would have only been $20,000 after 20 years.
Wow.
So this would suggest.
One day out of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Over
one day-
20 years,
yeah.
those 20
You
best
miss it.
days.
Yeah. So I think this suggests it's okay to let it go, not be beating yourself up emotionally over not jumping into the market when you're trying to buy on the dip. And I
Yes.
think that I've seen a lot of that lately. People trying to time the market, people with zero experience trying to figure out when they can get in and when they should get out. Shane Stewart, our certified financial planner, joins the show quite frequently. Good morning. We've been having a lot of discussion about this because in a second we're going to talk to our very own producer, Caitlin Johnston. She was saying yesterday, she's like, I wish I would have bought on the dip. I'm like, what do you know about the dip? And it worries me when I see people who are not experts in finance and the stock market thinking they're going to outsmart it.
Yeah. It's a common. There's two common things that are happening. One is thinking you have to do something when your investments are down, and the other is thinking that you're the FOMO, the fear of missing out, when it does hit the dip, and you think, I should put more money in there. But the average investor, most average people, don't have money sitting on the sidelines, like you mentioned. It's day to day. You're putting money into something like an IRA or a 401k, and that's all you can do, and that's frankly okay.
Shane, when I look at investing right now, obviously when you're doing it through your work, you have a 401k, it's taken out of your paycheck. But I look at all the apps that are available, whether it's Acorns, investing into ETFs, or E-Trade, where you can buy individual stocks. Coinbase allows you to buy some crypto. They've made it so easy to do. Can you walk us through some of the dangers and maybe even some of the pros of having it right at your fingertips?
Sure. The nice thing is it is available. They made it easy, even more cost effective. You used to have to pay a broker, commissions, those kind of things. They made it extremely easy. The thing that most people have going for them, their main investment usually is something like their 401k at work or an IRA or something like that. That should be treated very differently than, say, trading stocks. So let's take your American Airlines as an example. There's a lot more risk involved in buying the stock of one company than there would be, say, investing in mutual funds within your 401k. And the reason being is it's diversified. There's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of stocks within that. So if American Airlines goes back down to 9, well, that's okay because Walmart went up or something like that, whatever happens there. And so I usually tell the average investor, when you're dealing with these apps, use money you can afford to lose, or at the very least wait longer for it to come up because it's going to be more volatile. And so the downside of that is we could say, okay, I'm trading, but I want this money to perform very quickly, and that's not always going to happen. You could even lose. The upside of that, like you mentioned, Dave, is it's accessible. People can participate in that. As long as they have the right mindset, they'll do okay.
We're talking live right now with Shane Stewart, a certified financial planner, about the urge that people get when the stock market goes down to buy on the dip, maybe take a little extra money out of savings or out of your paycheck and open up one of these, accounts on an app and start doing your own day trading, thinking you're going to beat the market. And I just walked through a report I found on CNBC that says, like, if you just set it and forget it, and you're far better off in the long run to be a debt investor than you are to sit there and try to outsmart the market. What do you think about that? The aspect of this study or this story that says you're better off being a debt investor. I mean, I think that they set an example here in this article that makes it seem like that is the case.
It is. The stats are true. If you miss the best days in the market, you're going to be much worse off. And the problem is you don't know when those are. In fact, one of them was yesterday, 8% increase. But if you weren't in the market to participate in that, you miss out. And so it's understandable why we behave this way. We have what behavior psychologists call the prehistoric brain. What that means is we're designed for survival. So if we see a threat, we try to react. Saber-toothed tiger attacks you at your cave, you fight back or you run for shelter. We think that's true of investing in our brains, but it's not true of investing. Investing is a whole lot like the apple tree I planted a few years ago in my backyard. It takes time for it to grow. It does have to weather some storms. It would be silly for me to look out the back window, and look out the back window and say, storming pretty hard. I better go dig that up, put it in the garage. That doesn't work that way. Investments are more long-term, and you'll likely get it wrong. If I dug up that apple tree, I'd be starving it of nutrients. I would be starting over again, and I'm better off to let that weather the storm. That's exactly what happens in your investments, and that's why those stats are true.
Well, plus you'd kill the tree and you'd lose all the apples.
No
exactly.
apple pie.
Yeah, you start over. Yeah,
no apple pie.
Yeah, right. All right, Shane.
Thank you.
So such great information. The prehistoric brain, it does not work when it comes to investing.
Yeah, one of the things I think we get sucked into is greed. Again, let me just go back to this example with American Airlines. Their all-time high is $55, right? And I buy in at $8. So I think, if it goes back to its all-time high of $55 or even $50,
I'm going to be rich.
I'm going to be rich. I'll have 5 times it's what a return. So what it does is when it doubles, only up to $16. I'm thinking, but what if it goes up to 30, or what if it goes up to 40 or 50 or an all-time high of 60, right? I think when we start looking at it and getting greedy, we ignore, Dave, be completely and totally happy with 100% return on your investment.
Caitlin Johnston, our producer, you've been talking out loud a little bit in the newsroom the last couple of days. I'm I'm going to buy on the dip. And I'm like, what do you know about the dip?
Absolutely nothing. But
Did you feel a little
that
guilty?
FOMO that Shane
the
was
FOMO.
just explaining. It's more of a, this is like a foreign language to me. I've really been trying to understand investing, but I just have my 401k that comes with my job. And I'm just like, it's doing whatever it's doing. But I did feel like when all of this was happening last week, maybe I should start to really get in there. But I also don't have money to lose. I'm feeling like
that's one of the tips that Shane just mentioned.
I mean, maybe I could put like $50 in. That's, whatever. That's just a few meals I'm not going to eat. But I don't know. I want to learn more, but I have FOMO, but I don't know what I'm missing at the same time.
So you know about this article that I read about if you are a debt investor, which basically that's what your 401k is for, right? You just set it and you forget it. You buy and you hold. You're far better off than you would be if you're over there, with an app in the control room there trying to day trade while running this show. So does it make you feel better that you maybe aren't like me, aren't the smartest person in the room when it comes to financing and buying into the stock market?
Ignorance is bliss type of
I
thing.
agree.
But yes, this conversation has made me feel a little bit better that I don't need to have an urgency. I can still learn about it a little bit because one thing I did say yesterday is I'm going to wake up tomorrow the same I did today, and that's unaffected either way. So that's one thing that I felt good about because I'm not retiring, this year. I have a long ways to go with that. So that's one thing I'm feeling good about.
You're young.
Yeah.
I think his advice was very good, though. If there is an itch that you can't scratch and you want to invest, he's like, make sure you use money that you can afford to lose. It almost sounds like the same advice for gamblers out there. Only gamble what you can afford to lose. And there is, I think, great value in downloading these apps, becoming familiar with them. Maybe a little bit of an itch or maybe a little bit of a scratch versus going all in, because the apps have become very effective. They've changed the market. And in fact, what I could have done with my app is I could have said, and you can pre-program it, say, hey, at this point, I don't even have to monitor it, sell. So if it ever hits 80% improvement in the stock, then just automatically sell it. Don't ask me. And these are some of the things that apps are offering today, which removes some of this having to watch the market all day, every day.
Great conversation. Thanks for jumping in, Caitlin. And thanks to Shane Stewart as well. Next, have you ever been involved in a minor fender bender? Maybe you've done this. Like you don't want to go through insurance to make a claim? Well, wait until you hear what happened to this Utah woman.
She immediately starts accusing me of trying to take her for money, being dishonest.
Are you looking to invest in your home, increase its livability, increase its value, increase its curb appeal? Well, doors and windows are a great place to start, and there's no better place to start than Peach Doors and Windows.
Maybe the purpose of your home has changed. Maybe you're an empty nester, or you just want to maximize the view of your home. Bring Peach your wish list. Think about out-of-the-box shapes and sizes. What you can imagine, Peach Doors and Windows can make happen. They can do renovations that other companies simply won't touch.
You can check out all of their 5-star reviews on Google, where customers rate Peach throughout every step of the process. From sales to installation, they will make sure you get exactly what you want. Check out their website at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can give them a call, 801-566-1255. They do free in-home estimates.
Or better yet, check them out in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, or check them out online, peachbuildingproducts.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors to tell you about our 10-year everything guarantee. Most contractors spout off having great warranties that last forever. But those warranties are always, and I do mean always, riddled with loopholes, exception, fine print, and nonsense. At RGS Exteriors, we cover everything. Parts, labor, material, everything and anything for 10 full years. There's no cost to you whatsoever. No hoops to jump through, no exceptions. Yes, the products we sell, like James Hardy Siding, our windows, gutter covers, come with a 25 to 50-year manufacturer's warranty, just like everybody else. But the truth is, the products almost never fail. It's always the labor and material which is never covered, so you're stuck paying for service calls. For peace of mind, call RGS Exteriors. You'll sleep easy for 10 full years. 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online rgsutah.com. Gutters, siding, windows, and all exteriors with the 10-year everything guarantee.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Salt Lake County Jail has multiple renovation projects going on to upgrade their 25-year-old infrastructure, but it's having a negative impact on inmates. Chief Deputy Matt Dumont from the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office says they have rotating sections that will experience lights staying on 24/7.
There's really kind of no way around it. So to accommodate that, we issued sleeping masks to all the individuals in the pod.
They're also doing a full kitchen remodel, which means they can't provide the one hot meal a day required by law in-house. Dumont says they have to have pre-made meals delivered and kept on warmers. Construction is expected to continue until the end of the year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We have new inflation numbers out this morning showing the growth of inflation slowed last month, thanks in part to lower gas prices. Consumer prices were up 2.4% in March from a year earlier, down from 2.8% in February. The European Union announced this morning a 90-day pause on their counter tariffs against the United States. The European Commission president says they want to give negotiations a chance. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 4.5%. That's 1,800, almost 1,900 points to 38,709. Coming up, we've got the warm-up here, and it's going to continue for at least a couple of days. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31. The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Very exciting news for you folks. We have Master Electrical Service joining forces with Mountain Home Services.
And what's so great about this for you is it's like one-stop shopping. They can take care of your electrical needs. Maybe you've been looking for a new generator. You're thinking about installing that gas fireplace now. Even though the weather's a little warm, you know temperature's probably going to dip again, and you want to get that taken care of. Plus, HVAC, heating and air, plumbing. I mean, look at that list of things they can do.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's one phone call. You can have them come out, take care of your house, and it all comes with this upfront pricing guarantee. Now, what that means is when they come out and they give you a bid for the project, they're going to honor that bid, and that's why they call it an upfront pricing guarantee.
Yeah, no hidden fees, 100% satisfaction guarantee, too.
They've been around since 1954, so they're the company we trust. So can you. Check out Mountain Home Services by going to their website, mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
And here's their phone number, 801-543-2222. One more time, 801-543-2222.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
We still have pretty good speeds all across the Wasatch Front, and we are accident-free everywhere. That includes city streets and your major freeways throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties. No slowdowns right now coming out of Twila County, either on I-80 or the 201 freeway. But if you do see something I haven't mentioned, please let us know at Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Break your routine and into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connected to nature, Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be extra warm for April over the next few days. Today, the predicted high 79 and then 82 tomorrow. Right now, it's 63 degrees and fair in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Have you ever been in a fender bender with somebody? Dave, maybe you've had this happen to you, and then let's not go through insurance. We'll just pay for it ourselves out of pocket. There's a lot of reasons why I don't want to go through insurance. Like I don't want my rates to go up. We're going to talk to Sloan Trigg of the KSL5 investigative team that looked into this very situation, and it did not go so well for one woman.
It's such an easy thing to say, right? Hey, let's just take care of a gentleman's agreement, handshake agreement. Let's not go through insurance because I don't want it to ding me long term. And I don't even think I really know how much it's going to ding me long term. If I actually go through insurance, how much more is my insurance premium going to go up? I just assume it's going to go up. So a lot of these things I just don't realize. So I can see the temptation to say, hey, let's just figure this out on our own, not go through insurance.
The handshake
yes,
agreement.
Totally.
Exchange phone numbers, take photographs. Maybe there's a police report on the scene. Maybe there's not because it's so minor and the cops are tied up. They can't come out or whatever the case may be. I could see this happening. KSL5's investigative reporter Matt Gephardt works closely with his investigative producer Sloan Trigg on these stories, and the investigative team got a call from a woman. This very scenario comes up. She gets into a fender bender. And they started looking into what happened next.
Andrea Olson's Dodge was rear-ended.
It has dislodged the bumper entirely, as well as the tailpipe is no longer seated.
The woman who bumped into her did not want to go through insurance.
I'll just pay out of pocket.
Andrea was happy to oblige. She certainly understands the woman not wanting her rates to go up. So she and the pleasant other driver took pictures, exchanged information, and parted ways. Andrea then got 2 estimates to repair her vehicle, both right around $1,500. But that is where the pleasantries ended abruptly.
She immediately starts accusing me of trying to take her for money, being dishonest.
Text messages show that it got heated. The other driver blasting, "Are you kidding me? Don't try to be dishonest in this. It won't work." And at one point, "Just know that my father is a person that has some power." Okay, fine then. Handshake deal is off. Andrea responded, "If you cannot pay, I am more than happy to go through insurance." So Andrea called the police, filed a report, and then she filed a claim with Progressive. That's the insurance company covering the other car. But that claim was denied.
Even though we have the police report stating that it was her fault, pictures showing it, her even admitting it was her fault.
Andrea's next move was to contact me.
Sloan Trigg joins us right now, the producer of that piece from the investigative team. And Sloan, I think a lot of people can feel this pain, right? They've tried to do it, and sometimes it works out great. Everybody's like, yep, taken care of. But this, I think, speaks to the dangers, the potential dangers.
Yeah, you think you've shaken your hand with somebody and that they may keep the end of the bargain. But what happens that basically sometimes, in the heat of the moment, they're willing. They're everybody's on their best. They say this is something we can easily work out. But then the estimates come in and it becomes a lot more expensive than they figured. Or maybe there's an injury that they didn't know. Some stuff like that can surface after the crash, and it just kind of blows that handshake deal apart.
So what happened in the case of Andrea's story? Did she end up getting reimbursed, or how did this end up shaking out for her?
Well, she got the 2 estimates, and after we contacted Progressive, which covered the other vehicle, because it wasn't Andrea's fault. Someone bumped into her at a stoplight.
It sounded like rear-ended her.
Rear-ended her. And so we contacted Progressive, and they actually reimbursed her for the damages to her vehicle.
So she did get reimbursed.
She did.
But after an initial rejection.
No, yeah, they denied
yes,
at
denied.
first. And then we reached out to them, and then they didn't reimburse her. They actually paid for the damages up front.
Okay. This is a cautionary tale, certainly, right? What did you and Matt learn from this experience that you would think other people should know about, or from your story?
Well, one thing is that even though it looks like very minor damage to your bumper or some other place, these cars today have a lot of sensitive equipment that are loaded in this stuff. The bumpers have sensors, they have cameras, there's radar, all this stuff. And while it may look like a couple $100 damage when you eyeball it, when they start removing stuff and taking stuff apart, it could go up to $1,000, a couple $1,000s. And so if you've settled, done a handshake deal, you're kind of out. You're not going to be able to go back to the other driver and say, hey, it's a couple $100s. And if you try to go back to your insurance, because the other thing we learned is that most insurance companies actually require you to report anything. Even if you don't file a claim, if you've been in a two-party accident where there's been another vehicle or other property, they actually require you to notify them. And
I
had no idea.
So
yeah,
this
is brand new
wink and a
information.
nod. Yeah, that's good to know.
Check your policy, but most will actually require you to notify them, even if you don't file a claim again. And so
the reason behind that is
if the other driver comes back later and says the damage is more or I'm injured, they're not going to help you out because you didn't notify them that there was an accident.
So if you do get in an accident and you use your insurance, obviously we just assume that our rates are going to go up. Do we have any idea how much rates go up?
According to, and I looked at this Market Watch, they did an analysis on this, and they found that the average rate increases by 45% if you're at fault.
If you're at fault.
If you're at fault. Now in Utah, there is a law that says the insurance company cannot raise your premium if you're not at fault for an incident or damage to your vehicle.
One of the things that I learned when it was a single car. It was an accident. So I don't remember. We were working together at the time. I don't know if you remember this, but it was like Christmas Eve, and I was driving in the Saab, the forever old Saab, and I was driving straight up a hill during a blizzard and an ice storm. It was the weirdest situation. Mm-hmm. And then I got to the top of the hill, and I was so proud of myself. And then I started donating down the hill.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's what happens when the roads are icy on Christmas Eve. And I slid all the way back, and I landed comfortably in a parking lot. No damage. I was like, oh, thank the Lord, And then my car flipped backwards on me and just got smacked into a curb.
Oh.
Yeah. And if my bumper kind of broke off. And we didn't think anything of it. Well, it turns out I don't think they were making Saabs anymore. So finding the bumper, I don't think we were working together at the time. We had to go to the pick and pull.
Yeah.
You know what the pick and pull is?
Oh, sure. I've repaired many vehicles.
You go out there, it's like, what is it, like a car graveyard or something like that?
You pull a part that might work for your car.
This is like the weird, my husband was always saying to me, why didn't you take the Suburban to the gym? Why did you have to take that car, So we ended up I think they found one at the pick and pull. But my point being is that you think it's not a big deal. And it really, there was I guess my windshield wiper fluid line broke and there was blue stuff spraying everywhere. But beyond that, it ended up being kind of a bigger deal.
Well, on older vehicles, the parts are becoming more and more scarce.
And we actually reported it, and I was glad we did. Of course we did.
Yeah.
We reported it even though I just, kissed a curb.
That's another point to make is that, if you do like a minor fender bender in your own driveway, you back into your fence post, you're back in your mailbox, that's probably something you're not going to be required to report to your insurance. You can pay for that out of pocket if you want to.
No, but I was on display in a parking lot.
Yeah.
This whole experience was there were witnesses. I'm sure there were cameras. I got out of the car crying. It was, all kinds of drama.
Yeah, it can be more expensive than you figure. And so it's always a good thing to notify your insurance company, at least,
That's a good point.
Yeah. And some insurance companies have forgiveness. You have one accident, you can ask for your accidental forgiveness, and that might prevent you from seeing that premium increase.
But you can absolutely see if your premium is going to go up on average of 45%, adds $60, $70, $80 per month, $1,000 a year. And how long will that be the case? You can absolutely see the temptation of why people would want to do it without insurance.
And, it very tempting. And in fact, I think 39% of drivers surveyed by Lending Tree said, we settled out of pocket because more than half are scared of that premium increase.
Yeah, and you may be better off spending several $100s more than you thought with the handshake deal, and then instead of having to go through insurance. But Sloan, thank you so much for joining us. Great information. Appreciate all the good work that you and Matt do.
Yeah, and you can stick around. We're gonna, if you want to. Are you heading to lunch?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, you can stick around because we're gonna take live calls. We want to talk to our listeners about any time that they decided not to go through insurance and how it worked out for them.
Sure.
So. Tell us a time when you did not go through insurance. Did you end up regretting it? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Sloan staying in studio to help take your live calls next.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's business solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
Have you ever just not gone through your insurance to file a claim? Maybe gone through a handshake agreement because you've been an offender bender with another driver. Taking your live calls, 801-575-TALK. How did that work out for you? We've been talking to Sloan Schrega, the KSL-5 investigative unit, about how it worked out for one Utah driver. And in the beginning of this, Sloan, it was not going so well for her, right?
No, the other driver, she balked at the estimate that's coming in. Our driver had two estimates, each coming about $1,500, and the other driver said, "No, that's crazy. You're trying to scam me, that sort of thing." And so she started ghosting, our viewer.
One thing I've realized is we just don't know how much something costs, right? You and I, we just don't have any idea what it takes to buff out a scratch or pull out a dent because we don't do body, right? I mean, we just don't do this kind of stuff. So
did you say we don't do body?
We don't do body work. we're not a chop shop. Debbie's like, I totally run a chop shop. I know what everything costs.
We don't do. Okay, body work to cars. Yeah, we don't do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a skill. I mean, to be able to paint over something and keep it
blend
in flush.
It.
Yeah, blend it in
Yes.
with the rest of the finish. I mean, it is an absolute skill, and labor is just more expensive than it used to be. So it's hard to gauge what the cost is going to be.
One of the things I noticed in your report, as you were talking about the police report aspect of this, and it sounded as though the woman who got rear-ended had waited to file a police report until after these text messages started coming in from the other driver. And what is sort of the recommendation in terms of filing a police report? I know a lot of maybe minor accidents, you might not want to call cops, but ultimately, I lean into even if I have to file it online, I lean into at least calling dispatch and letting them know, hey, I'm at an intersection here and I just been rear-ended. But what have you learned about that?
In this case, it worked out for her that she did file the police report, even though it was some time later after the accident. And the reason is that because the driver didn't speak, that she wouldn't take the calls from our viewer as well as from her insurance.
Oh, yeah.
She was completely ghosting everybody on this. And the only thing that our driver had was that police report. And so if you can get a police report, that might be the thing that saves you. At least they can document it, and see what happened and make a judgment call about what happened.
Sometimes those police reports are hard to get because the police they just don't want to come out.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be 100%, but when you can, I would definitely get a police report.
Annie, thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. We're taking phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Annie, what's your experience?
So, yeah, thanks for taking my call. This happened recently to my husband. He was in a right-hand, stop at the light, but you can go, if it's clear, red turn lane. And he rolled forward. He was almost going to go, but then decided there wasn't quite enough time. He was going to wait till another car passed before going. But the car behind him wasn't paying attention to the fact that he started moving forward and then stopped. And she rear-ended him, and she rear-ended him pretty hard. So my husband said he had a headache and stuff while he was talking to her just from, the jolt. But he had a bike rack on the back of the car, and so the bike rack took, most of the damage. But he still had, some damage to the back trunk area and bumper of our car. So the lady that hit him was in the car. She seemed super nice. She was there with her teenage daughters. They said that they were visiting the college close by, and he just had no reason to not trust her. She seemed very friendly and that she wanted to take care of anything and very apologetic for the situation. And so he wanted to give this mom with her kids break, didn't file the police report, didn't contact our insurance, but took pictures of the damage and then the license plate number, of course, on both cars, and got her name and phone number. Well, as soon as he contacted her via the phone number, once we had gotten damage report, she never responded, and she wouldn't respond to text message, just totally ghosted my husband. So then I was like, what were you thinking? You should have contacted the police or done something, gotten her insurance information, which he hadn't thought to do either. I think that would have been helpful, and that would be one lesson learned on our side is make sure you get pictures of their insurance information, verify that they have insurance just in case something goes wrong. But we ended up having to contact the police and go through our insurance to try and get it all settled. And we ended up having to pay for it through our insurance because it turned out she did not have insurance.
Oh.
Yeah, that's such a great description of kind of the danger of it.
Bryce, let's get to you. In Springville, it looks like you live in Springville and you sold a trailer. What happened from there?
So back in 2008, a long time ago, I had a beautiful flatbed trailer. I parked it on the side of a dirt road that no one ever really travels, but you can see it, and get my phone number and call me. A guy was drinking. He went underneath my fifth wheel, and it cut his car open like a can opener. And I got to be careful because I think he passed on, but his car spun out of control and took out a telephone pole.
Oh, it's terrible.
And now by the time I got to the claim and everything, his insurance company says there is a cap. Our guy may have hit your trailer, but basically the power company got to the allotment or the cap of the money in the insurance policy first, and they said there is nothing left for you. And so it was my trailer took some damage, which, I wish the guy was here, but
I have no.
Someone else's customer, someone else's insurance company says it only covers this much.
Oh, that's interesting, Bryce. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I know each policy does have certain amounts that in coverage. I remember talking to my insurance guy, who happened to be my uncle. He said that's something you have to be aware of, is make sure that you see what does your policy cover, how much does it cover. That's a great a great story and something that we probably should check in with.
Tammy, looks like some cameras proved that, you weren't involved in an accident?
So my husband was backing into a parking spot. This is in the mall. We were going out to dinner, and we could hear a beeper, like an alarm going off, but we weren't paying any attention. He backed into a spot. The truck tells him when to stop. He stopped. We went into dinner. We got called out by the police saying, come out, your car hit somebody. And, of course, it was a Porsche. Amazing. And the police was showing me how, see where the height of your hitch, and it would have gone here, and this was definitely caused by your truck. And we didn't hit it. We never made any impact. The alarm was already going off.
How'd you prove it?
Anyway, and so we had cameras, and we were able to pull the camera. We didn't know how to pull it off at the time, so I got home and pulled off the material and sent it, and it was really clear. And so this guy is positive we hit him. And we sent it to our insurance, and our insurance says, you know what? This camera says you did not hit them.
Oh, there
even
you
though
go.
the police report said we did, and there were no witnesses, but the camera saved us on a claim against the Porsche. So cameras, they paid for themselves in that one.
So smart.
instance.
Tammy, I am so with you on this. I love cameras.
So, Sloan, maybe we add that to our list of, things that we need to think about besides filing a police report and making sure we report to our insurance when we are in even a fender bender. Maybe adding cameras?
Yeah, I mean, they're $140, $200 for a dash cam. And, I've seen where they've saved a lot of people because there's just that nexus. You don't know what really happened unless the camera catches it.
And sometimes we just remember it incorrectly.
That's very true.
Even when it's not like bad actors, sometimes we just remember it wrong. We're not great eyewitnesses.
No.
911, what's your emergency?
They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
One of the great things about Advanced Garage Doors is they will do an inspection for you. I didn't even realize that was a thing. I didn't realize you needed your garage door inspected occasionally. I went 22 years, not one inspection, and that's probably why it sounded like a tank.
In fact, right now, with the KSL listener special, there's a free garage door inspection with no obligation, or maybe you need a repair. Well, there's $100 off any parts needed for a repair. And don't forget, you get a free garage door opener when you purchase a garage door through them.
Lifetime warranty includes labor. Just got to follow their recommendations. Free, as you said, zero estimate costs. There's a proprietary 23-point safety inspection. There's times when you can do it yourself and maybe tweak some things. The garage door, you want that done by a certified specialist.
Yeah, and they have certified technicians. Those certified technicians are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With same-day service, because when your garage door acts up, it's never at a convenient time.
How about this? 200,000 cycle rollers. Go ahead and reach out to them online, advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
And here's the phone number, 801-989-3667. One more time, 801-989-DOOR.
This is an important announcement to anyone facing $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state. Struggling taxpayers can now take advantage of special tax relief programs that could resolve your tax problem, stop collections, and significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Get the relief you need today during these hard economic times. Call Community Taxes Relief Hotline now at 800-741-3179. That's 800-741-3179.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jessica Lowell. KSL's top story this hour. We have some beautiful warm spring weather today and tomorrow, but the air is full of dust. National Weather Service meteorologist John Wilson says it blew in earlier this week from the southwest, and it's been hanging out ever since.
What would really help this situation in terms of that stuff impacting the northern Wasatch Front is more precipitation in the southwest or just fewer frontal boundaries that pick up that stuff.
He says the dust can come from hundreds of miles away and even other states. We do have a cold front moving in this weekend, which typically clears the air. Our top national story, the House narrowly passed a Trump-backed budget framework bill today.
This is just the blueprint to kick off the process to build this big sweeping budget that includes all of President Trump's legislative agenda. So there was such drama to even get to this moment, not just on this vote, but remember, the House had to pass a blueprint in February, too, and Johnson had to cancel that vote for a time and then abruptly put it back on as they worked on the holdouts on speakerphone, remember, with President Trump.
ABC's Jay O'Brien reporting there were some Republican holdouts on the bill, but all but two voted yes. Your money at this moment, big losses after Wall Street rallied yesterday. Dow down 1,500 points. Coming up, warm, and more warm. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you looking for a fun way to get your kids outside and off their screens this spring? Try flower gardening. Starting a beautiful flower bed or easy container garden is a great hands-on way to spend quality time together while teaching kids about nature. They'll love digging in the dirt, picking out their favorite flowers, and watching them bloom, all while making real, lasting memories. Plus, gardening is a great way to slow down, soak up some sunshine, and enjoy the fresh air as a family. This is Brian with Olson's Greenhouse, and my family has been growing flowers with care for 4 generations right here in Utah. Whether you have a big sunny backyard or just a small shady front porch, our colorful, locally grown flowers make it easy to add beauty to your home. So this spring, start with a new family tradition, one that grows with your kids. Get inspiration at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens on Instagram or find a garden center near you at ogg.com. That's ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
This Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then, browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then, they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. You're invited to visit the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com. GoPave Utah is your gold standard for parking lot paving and repairs. Contact GoPave Utah today. GoPaveUtah.com. GoPaveUtah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Heather Kelly.
No delays on the roadways anywhere across the Wasatch Front, but we do have a minor fender bender westbound I-80 right near the Lake Point area out in Tooele County. It's over on the right shoulder, not causing any slowdowns there. And the only other place you may encounter some brake lights is in road construction zones, especially on Bangerter Highway. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Could see record warm temperatures today and tomorrow. It'll cool off a little bit over the weekend, back into the 40s and 50s by Sunday. Right now it's 64 degrees and fair. I'm Jessica Lowell from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, where Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
If you've ever felt slammed by a $35 overdraft fee at your bank, well, we have more bad news for you. The Biden administration wanted to bring that fee down to a flat $5 fee. Dave was cheering.
Nice job, boys.
For less than
the
price of a latte, you too could bounce a check. I don't write checks anymore. But who among us hasn't had this happen, right? And so when the Biden administration announced that they would make a new rule that banks could charge no more than $5, you were loving it.
I could have put my kids through college, your kids through college, bought them a home, down payments across the board for what I have paid in late fees. And for well, I won't say bounce checks. I will say overdraft.
Yeah.
Okay, in part because I'm not interested in following every single dollar that I spend. I just don't do a good job of that. So I would routinely, I'm not like buying
ever?
a $1,000 couch.
Yeah.
This is, I run out of money and then I go buy one soda too many or a cheeseburger too many,
So
and I
you
get hit
don't
with
really
these.
ever keep track of your money. Like back in the day when we all balanced our checkbooks. Remember those days?
No,
you
never.
didn't participate.
No, in fact,
I balanced it to the penny.
This
These
is
are
my
so different.
This is my surprise face. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Boring.
So much so, Debbie, I got banned from using my debit card from my wife, justifiably so.
Back
and
it
I
up.
went.
Back it up. You mean the CEO?
CFO, CEO, and CFO.
CFO, okay.
She's all the C-suite in our family.
Okay.
But yeah, certainly she's like, we
can't afford you.
We can't afford $35 dings every single time we turn around. So we went into a cash-only system. And I've talked on this show how much I love paying for cash. It's because I could not be trusted with my debit card because I kept overdrafting on it. And it was for the silliest stuff. It was just a few dollars over because I wasn't following so closely. So when I heard the Biden administration say, we're going to take that $35 fee down to $5, I thought, finally, they heard me. They felt me. And this was a great idea because I felt I felt abused, quite frankly, by my banking institution. I won't say who they were. I felt abused because it was a few dollars here and there.
It just felt probably like they were taking advantage of
Totally.
your poor money keeping skills. Yeah.
And again, it wasn't that I was completely oblivious and I'm drawing hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. It was often $5 here, or a tank of gas there, and then I would put the money back in at maybe a couple days too late, and it was just costing me hundreds of dollars. What I didn't realize until I read this article in the AP, I'm not alone, Deb.
Yeah, it's like $8 billion annually that gets collected in these fees across the
Lots
United
of Dave
States.
Noriegas out there.
Yeah. And are you one of them? 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. Have you ever been hit with an overdraft fee? And then tell us what happened from there. We don't want you to lay out your financial institution here because a lot of them charge overdraft fees. But walk us through what happened to you. 801-575-TALK. Are you just like Dave, getting dinged left and right by these overdraft fees?
One of my biggest frustrations about the way the banking institution works in general is I just want you to straight up deny my swipe. Right? You have instant access to my account. I swipe the card. You see if the funds are there. If I am overdrafted, if I don't have the money, then just deny it. I'll use my credit card. I'll use cash. Oftentimes I use my card out of convenience, not because that's the only money I have. I can root around and try to find all my nickels and dimes in my car. I have lots of those and pay for that soda. But I just wish they would deny everything. But what they've done in the justification of convenience, hey, we're going to cover this for you.
So like teach you a lesson.
Yes.
So teach you a lesson by humiliating you.
Yeah, they're not my mom.
At the convenience store where you just swipe that card for $1.69 so you can buy that diet soda.
Totally.
And they just say, I'm sorry, I want
insufficient funds, Dave. Insufficient funds.
Yeah, there's so many layers to your issue over there that I was like, we could just tick through these one by one, like peeling back the layers of an onion there. Have you ever broken up with your bank over this?
I 100% did.
You did?
Yes. Because I could go in there and say, listen, it was 2 days, right? I made 5 purchases. I've got $150 in late fees. Do we need to send a full $150 message to me? Or can we, maybe help a brother out? And sometimes they would work with me.
Sometimes. How often
Debbie,
did this happen? You're a frequent.
Over the last 25 years,
the problem is you.
More than twice.
You're the frequent flyer.
Yeah. No, I'm the frequent flyer. I get it. I understand. But at some point, I just said, I can't do it any longer. Your fees are too punitive, so I'm going to break up with you. And I did. I left after 20 years of being with this bank because of all the fees that they had been tacking on. And it wasn't just overdraft fees. There seemed to be there was a fee if I didn't make a minimum amount of purchases on my card. If I didn't make at least 10 purchases on my card, boom, I'd get hit with a fee. If I didn't carry a big enough balance, boom, I'd get hit with a fee. Overdraft, boom, get hit with a fee. It's not just overdraft. Banking has turned this into a multi-billion-dollar business. In fact, the AP is reporting $8 billion business in fees. And this is something that the Biden administration, and I give them a big old high five for this, they addressed it.
Yeah, but it's now being undone. According to what's being reported, is that there's been a vote. It's the House of Representatives voted to overturn that rule that would have kept it at $5. I would say capped it at $5, I should say. And some of the argument from the financial institutions was, look, if we can only collect $5 from the Dave Noriegas of the world, well, then the WDs of the world who have a line of credit protection, like I have, I think $1,000 or $2,000 as a line of credit, just in case I dip into that. I go to the convenience store and I swipe my debit card for a $1.59 soda, And I didn't realize I didn't have any money left in that checking account of mine. The line of credit, which I don't pay anything for, they're saying, well, you Debbie wouldn't be able to have a line of credit anymore because we just couldn't do that as a service for customers because we're not collecting the $35 fee from Dave who walks in. But look, Dave, from your point of view, yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, sure, because you're on the flip side of this discussion.
Yeah, I'm sure they can't afford it, but okay, if that's their justification, fine.
But I do think the $35 fee, $25 fee, like I don't know what their costs are, so this is my opinion. It's how when you're broke, been broke. I've been so broke before. It doesn't just total. You don't make $10,000 a year and not understand what it's like to literally not have any money, and that's exactly where I was and have been. And you just get broker when that happens, right? You didn't have enough money to make it to payday. You didn't intentionally overdraft, but by accident you did because a couple of bills crossed in the mail or whatever back in the day. That's how they did things, right? And then you end up with another fee. And where are you going to get that money from? Because you don't have any money to begin with. However, Dave, I will say this. At some point you change your behavior. Maybe you use your credit card so you don't get an overdraft fee using your debit card attached to your checking account and what's on your credit card. Then you can just go into your banking app and transfer the money over to your credit card as you have it.
Yeah, there's ways to work the system. No question. There's better ways to do it. But I think a lot of us, we don't spend every waking moment thinking about our purchases. And we have a general idea of what we're spending, but it's easy to let it get away from you. And part of what is so difficult, just the way that we run finances right now, is we have 50 different things, 50 different ways that we pay. We have bill pay. We have auto pay. We have direct deposit. We have. And everybody takes the money out at a different time on a different date. So you might purchase something on the 7th and there's your automatic withdrawal on the 8th and then your direct deposit is on the 9th, right? It's very difficult. Anyone that has run a budget and looks and lays it out in a spreadsheet sees this could be your full-time job where you're looking at it.
I feel completely opposite of you on this. I think it's never been easier to pay bills using like automated bill pay, again, attached to my credit card so it doesn't accidentally dive into my checking account at the wrong time of the month. Using, bill pay on my banking app to pay my bills instead of sitting down and, writing out a check and putting it in the mail and heading to the post office to drop it in there. So I think it's just never been easier. So I really feel like things have gotten so much easier. I don't think they're more complicated. I think they're less complicated than ever before. Taking your live calls, 801-575-TALK. Are you sick and tired like Dave of overdraft fees? I mean, at one point I think you said you had $105 amassed in overdraft fees in just one day. And by the way, I do appreciate you being completely transparent on this because it is amazing. And have you broken up with your bank over it? 801-575-TALK. Or overdraft fees got you all angry like Dave is over them. $35 a pop when he was buying pop soda. So that $1.50 soda, that refill, ended up cost you $36.50.
Yeah, exactly. And one of our texters has absolutely no love in their heart for my plight. Dave, it's not your money to spend. They should charge you. And listen, I have no problem with a little slap on the wrist, but there is a flat fee. So every time I would make a purchase, $1, $10, $100, it was a $35 charge. And on what level is that fair? If you use a credit card, you swipe that, they give you 30-day grace period. You're telling me that our banking institutions can't absorb some of that or give us a 5, 10, 30-day grace period, right? The fact is, and we have seen this, they went from being convenience oriented. Hey, we want to cover. We realize you have not been tracking this closely. We're going to cover it for you for a few days, to it becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that's what the Biden administration was talking about. And even Trump administration agreed on some level that junk fees, service fees, late fees have gotten out of hand. And they've become unfair. And it's become predatory. So when I see the House of Representatives roll back this rule, I ask, okay, why? Well, obviously because it's a multi-billion-dollar tool that banks use.
Hi, Robert.
Hello.
So do you have an overdraft protection, or are you getting dinged by these overdraft fees?
There are several different things. I remember a few years ago, I actually got a thing in the mail from a bank at the end of the year saying we had paid $5,000 in overdraft charges that year.
What?
Yeah, crazy. We had real bad spending habits. And so basically what I did is I opened a second banking account, and all my bills come out of that one. And that one has overdraft protection just in case of an emergency. But our regular one that we use for everyday things, that has no overdraft protection. So I do get the ding that says insufficient funds if I don't have money in there.
Yes, Robert, that's
Robert,
the solution.
They don't pay it then if you don't have the money in it? The
Correct.
account? Okay. How is that working for you now?
It works great. I can't remember the last time I had an overdraft fee.
Okay.
I love it.
So if you're standing at the check register or the cashier, can we leave Robert on the line just for a second? You're standing at the cash register at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and you swipe your card, you get a notification that you don't have money in your account?
Correct. I have my apps all set up so that I get notifications as soon as I put a charge through, even like one of my banking institutions. I'll be standing there, and within seconds of swiping my card, my bank has already informed me that I'm buying something.
Yes.
And so I have with the apps, I can just at a swipe, check my balances and stuff if necessary. It's real easy. I'm on Team Debbie on this one. Sorry, Dave.
Robert, thank you, Robert. Kathy, hi. So you used to work at a bank.
Oh, insider information here,
What's
Kathy.
going on?
I love it.
Well, it's an interesting story. And, you realize, too, that service has gone down massively in banks. So you're darn right they can pick up some of those, costs. And I had a customer call me, and she said, oh, I think I overdrew my account this weekend. Can you check it? So I checked it, and it was not overdrawn yet. So she said, I'll be right in, and I'm going to cover it. She came in within 10 minutes. When I looked back into her account, the bank back room had reversed some of her debits so that now she had like 3 overdrafts.
So it's interesting because when I used to work at a bank, okay, this is in the 80s, Kathy. That's how old I am. We would process everything at like midnight, like at the same time. So I guess technically people could float money and get to the bank in time. But once midnight hit, I think it was midnight, everything would clear. So it sounds like there was a little different system with the bank you worked at.
Oh, it's a new. I mean, this is how all the banks are doing it now. They
now.
just reverse your transactions to make more money. So they put through the biggest transactions first because the little ones didn't give you an overdraft.
Oh boy, that is.
And they actually had lawsuits on that. I don't know what ended up happening, but they did have lawsuits. But I think they still do it.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Kathy. We appreciate it.
The solution to this is, and it's hard sometimes, especially look, again, $10,000 a year. I took a pay cut from $11,000 a year back in the early days. I was broke as broke. But the solution is either get with your bank, like Robert called in with a great solution. Get with your bank, see if you can get some overdraft protection, which is like a line of credit. Some banks will do this for free. Maybe it's a credit union and not a bank that you need to look at. Or keep some extra money in that checking account and keep track of how much you're spending. Like you can download a spending tracking app, because all you're doing is essentially like wasting your money, and money is precious. I wish we all had unlimited amounts of money coming at us, and maybe we had an economy that didn't require us to use money. But this is where we're at, right? And so I would think that there would be some accountability and personal responsibility, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no question. It ultimately falls on you, but I also am a little bit surprised there's not a little bit more compassion to what I think is some predatory behavior. I think banks, and I think this is exactly what the Biden administration and the Trump administration has done on some level. They look at what is happening right now in the banking industry, and they try to address it, and they called it predatory behavior because it is one thing to, lose track. There's other people that try to defraud the system, but when the average household is spending $225 a year on these overdraft fees and fees in general, I don't think that's necessarily an us problem. I think that's a broken system.
Matt in Kaysville, have you had overdraft fees?
I haven't had overdraft fees, but I worked at a bank where I definitely experienced both sides of that, and seeing customers coming in, and unfortunately, it was the lower economic status that were experiencing the majority of those overdraft fees.
So they were the ones that, that's what I said when I was broke back, literally had no money. And if I would have got dinged with one of these overdraft fees, Matt, I just would have had even less money.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because you didn't see the higher income clients having to deal with those types of fees because there's always more money in the account. I did also have a comment about the credit line versus using the credit card as an option. And with for instance, I have a credit line through the credit union I'm using right now, and I'm paying interest if I go into that credit line.
Yes.
And I have, I can pay that off whenever, and it's just going to compound over time. But back to the discussion where, as you guys were talking about with how much the overdraft fee is versus like using it as a credit card, the credit cards are charging much, much more interest to float your balance than you would on a credit line or an overdraft fee.
It's a great point. You got to check the interest rates. And if you're going to use your credit card and you don't pay it off every single month, you're probably going to pay a much higher interest rate than you would to have a line of credit that's attached to your checking account that covers you if you have to go over on the amount of money that you have in that account. Yeah,
either way, it looks like the House of Representatives is rolling back the rule. They are not capping those fees at $5. So, get ready for those $35 overcharge fees again.
I've done multiple different eating plans before. They helped me get weight off, but boom, 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 it all just came back with a vengeance.
Stop wasting time and money on plans that don't work. Trust the #1 weight loss company in America, Soda Weight Loss.
My name's Jim. In 5 months, I dropped over 65 pounds.
Hi, I'm Jared. I'm at 21 weeks. I've lost 110 pounds.
I tried to do it on my own, and I think it's discouraging when you try over and over again and you just get nowhere. You have the experts here. If you're on the fence, if it hasn't worked out on your own, these are the people to do it.
When you start losing the weight, even that first 5 pounds, this enormous amount of confidence starts to build in you. You start to realize, oh, this is possible for me.
No shots, no medications, just real results that last for a lifetime.
How about this? When you join Soda Weight Loss with a partner, you only pay for one. Get started now. Go to sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs. You sound very... Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees. Ooma. Nice. Find your business calm at ooma.com/radio.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be?
What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Troy, I don't know if you know this, but we're a big deal.
Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Can you be a big deal and still live with your mom?
Who do you think told me? But honestly, who else but Bitches brings back show pricing on all RVs this far into spring just so everyone gets the best price possible?
That actually is a really big deal. No one does that.
See? We are a big deal.
The sale is a big deal.
The big deal is talking.
Get into Bish's RV for second chance show pricing for a limited time.
We're talking travel trailers starting under $129 per month on approved credit.
Clearance pricing on all remaining new in stock 2024s.
And enjoy 0 payments until July. OAC.
And here's the really big deal. Every RV purchase gets free propane refills for life as long as you own the RV.
Start shopping the best deals now at bitches.com.
Don't miss your very last chance at the best show pricing deals around. Only for a limited time at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 89912-81734. Subject to prior sale. See dealer details.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour: the Utah Hockey Club will play their final home game of the season tonight. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more from the Delta Center.
Well, we can now officially say it's the last home game of the season as a whole, not just the regular season, now that Utah has been eliminated from playoff contention. But tonight, they'll definitely want to show out for the fans, and much like they did at the beginning of the season, the team is planning to hold a fan appreciation night, starting with a pregame party at the Delta Center Plaza at 4, with games, a live indoor DJ, and they'll have other offers for people who have a ticket for the game.
Tonight's game starts at 7. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the House has passed President Trump's budget resolution today. House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke to reporters shortly after the vote.
We're talking about ensuring that the border is secure, having the resources that are necessary to do that. We're talking about getting the American economy going again by reducing regulation.
The blue-red legislation is on track to enact the president's domestic agenda this summer. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 1,566 points. The S&P is down 250 points. And coming up, a high of 79 today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I've been telling you for more than a year that Salt Lake City fat loss is phenomenal. The results are outstanding. And before you get too nervous, when we talk about losing some weight, fat specifically, it can be intimidating because you think, okay, well, no more pies, no more cookies. I've got to remove everything that I enjoy and brings me happiness for the rest of my life. That is not the case with Salt Lake City fat loss. There's going to be a 60-day reduction phase where you're going to be pretty restricted on what you can eat. But what it does is it makes you realize some of the bad habits that you have. And then after those 60 days and you see some incredible weight loss, then they teach you of how to responsibly reintroduce some of the the fun food that you enjoy without going, off the ledge. So I lost 57 pounds in 60 days with Salt Lake City fat loss. Give them a try. Check them out. You're going to get an extra $200 off right now. There's a great program, great spring deal, $200 off. Just go to their website, slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a small accident. This is going to be in Tooele County, westbound to I-80, approaching Lake Point. Those vehicles are out of traffic, and the final cleanup of a crash 1900 South at West Temple. And of course, you can always text us your traffic tips to the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Utah Symphony performs the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today at Abravanel Hall. Don't miss Mahler, Mozart, and more. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Warm temperatures the next few days with a high of 79 today. If we don't hit it today, we could see our first 80-degree day tomorrow with a forecasted high of 82. Right now it is 66 in Fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Have I got a deal for you, Dave? You know, we've been talking about prices going up and up and up for so long now that I thought we needed a little good news about prices coming down. So how does this hit you? Disney World in Florida is significantly reducing the price of a kid's ticket to $59 a day.
Oh, wow.
So if you have a child
Really?
3 to 9 years old, $59 a day. So the 3-day pass would be $177 for them.
So it's only going to cost you an arm instead of an arm and a leg. That's great. No, that's actually really good news because it has become so expensive to go to Disneyland. They have an amazing product. They have history. They got Mickey. They got Goofy. They got all this stuff. And to hear that they're finally cutting some prices, because we have seen them just exploding over the last several years.
Yeah. So I think here's why I think it's a smart move. You got to keep the kids coming to Disneyland because when they grow to be adults, you know, they're going to want to take their kids for that same memory. So it's a generational thing. And parents can't afford to take their kids to some of these theme parks these days. They're just too expensive. So an adult pass for a 3-day pass would be $267 or $89 a day. But, you know, and an adult is 10 years and older. The adult pricing kicks in at 10 years and older. I mean, they're not technically an adult, but adult pricing is 10 years and up. So for basically $90 a day, where it's a 3-day pass, would be almost, $267 for an adult pass and $177 for your kiddos 3 to 9 years old. I think they've got to recognize that it is, I mean, it's like just, it's such a memorable experience for a child that to keep them coming back and keep them hooked, if you will, for future generations to bring their kids and maybe their grandkids back one day, you got to get them into the park when they're young.
Go over those prices just one more time. The new prices for adults and then for kids.
So for kids, it's $59 a day, 3 to 9 year olds. For an adult, it's $89 a day.
It's cheaper than the Lagoon. I mean, let that sink in right there. I mean, it's cheaper than Lagoon. I'm looking at Lagoon right now, $99 plus tax. You know, if you buy it on a Tuesday's potential discount, for a day, right? And their season passes for $225, I think. So I look at this and I think it's about time because we saw ticket prices soar to over $150 for a day pass at Disneyland and Disney World. We were seeing them $175. And again, it just goes back to that great economics quote. The best solution for high prices is high prices. They were pushing to see how far can we go. And I think we finally said, I'm not going. I'm not paying that.
Some restrictions apply.
Uh-oh.
I don't know.
It's only
There's
good for Tuesdays when the moon is full.
Yeah, there's some detail. No. It's actually, this is great for summer. So these are valid for April 6th. We've already passed that date, but through September 22nd for the adult ticket. You have to look and see, but I think this is, for the 3-day pass. So you got to buy the 3-day pass. So that's going to be $267, but that comes out to $89 a day. The kids' ticket is between May 27th and September 20th. So it's right smack in that sweet spot for summer vacations. The thing is, though, you got to tack in all of the other expenses that come with going to Disneyland. And you have to remind us of the one expense that bugs you the most, that you've never let go of in the almost 8 years that we have done the Dave and Dujanovic show together.
This is just sets me off every single time. And you bring it back. The scab has healed. It is now just a scar. And you want to just surgically reopen that wound when I paid $9 for a banana and a water. Every single time I'm walking out of the park, I'm dying, I'm dehydrated, I'm cramping, and I just need a banana and a water. And they said, with a straight face looking me right in the eyeballs, they said, $9, please. $9, banana and a water. I will never forgive them for that.
Yeah. You haven't let it go.
That's the upgrades that you should be really concerned about, folks.
Well, maybe they should do like what the Delta Center has done, where you get some, really good deals, like for a few bucks for the nachos or whatever, and you get the water for cheap now. But then the other, if you want something more elaborate, it's going to cost you more.
Would a banana and water qualify as elaborate?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I just was at the grocery store the other night, and you can get, bananas are like 25, 30 cents a piece. If you shop at Costco, it's like $1.59
for a bundle.
For the bundle of bananas. I am living off the bundle of bananas I bought last week at Costco right now.
You couldn't eat $9 worth of bananas.
They work out to be 15 cents each or something. So Business Insider did a breakdown. This was from last year, that a family of 4 spent nearly $10,000 on an 8-night Disney World trip. Now, these new ticket deals probably would have brought that price down to some degree, but here's how it breaks down. The park tickets for this family of 4, they paid $5,700. I think there's got to be a less expensive way to do that, right? How much would it be if a family of 4 bought the deal that's going on now for the 3-day pass? It would be 2 adults, 2 kids. It'd be maybe $1,000. Yeah. So that sounds like, okay, you're getting some savings there. Food was $2,000. And then you do the add-ons. Like they did the add-ons, like the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party was $677. And then transportation, which includes flights, was almost $1,500. So there's the breakdown of it. So just so you know, that $5,700, let me clarify that, was the Disney Resort and the park tickets. So they stayed at the Disney Resort, and they bought the park tickets for $5,700 and almost $50. So, yeah, we never stayed at the Disneyland Resort, ever. We're Super 8 people. We are Super 8. We're Motel 6 people. Yeah, I've got stories. I have got stories. Thank goodness our kids are too little to remember. We stay in the low-budget hotels, full stop.
They're firecrackers, buddy. They were firecrackers. Those weren't gunshots. They were firecrackers.
Cockroaches. No, I'm not kidding. Cockroaches the size of your thumb. Yeah. We stayed in one with a kitchenette. And this has nothing to do at all with the park. Again, this is like blocks away from the park. But Mama Deb is a low-budget hotel booker. Yeah, and that's what I did. And we had two kids with us. So, when you have lots of cockroaches running around and 2 kids, much more manageable than we would have the third. Maybe we had all 3 kids at the time. Anyway, it was drama. Lots of cockroaches. Not the cleanest hotel. But, hey, it was probably like $80 a night.
Yeah.
So you can do things that are a little less expensive. But it's almost $10,000. That's expensive. That's a lot of money.
And even though you've got some reasonable tickets, which I would consider reasonable, $60 for the kids, $90 for the parents for a day pass, you got to have multiple days. But nevertheless, those aren't terrible. You have to be absolutely aware of all of the add-ons. If you get a park hopper, that's totally different. If you get the Genie Plus, that's going to cost you a bunch of money as well. That allows you to get on the rides faster. If you're going to do the meal plan, the promotions, all of these things, these add-ons can absolutely explode the expenses. A lot like when you're flying a budget airline. If you're not careful and you start just bringing all the luggage and all the bags and all the seat upgrades, then that reasonable price just goes out the window.
So is Disney World worth the $9 banana and water?
My wife thinks it is. She thinks I'm a big crybaby over this whole thing. She's like, get over it. I'm like, I will never.
801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. Is the Disney experience, either the land or the world, worth the price? Come on. I know there's a lot of people. I have a friend who goes to Disneyland all the time. All the time. Practically lives there. Should absolutely live in It's a Small World. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. Call in and defend your $9 banana and water at Disneyland. Next.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Every great business has a story, one that connects, inspires, and moves people to action. And bringing those stories to life is what Avalanche Studios does best. President Dave Lindsay joins us with more.
When a business tries to sell a product, attract new customers, train their staff, or recruit employees, they're really just telling a story. At Avalanche Studios, we use the power of video to help businesses make those stories unforgettable. We create commercials, branding videos, marketing materials, and other content for websites, training, and events. And we take care of the entire process, from script to screen. We develop the concept, write the script, hire actors, scout locations, and film cinematic visuals. Then we bring it all together with expert editing, sound design, music, graphics, effects, and narration to create compelling content. For over 25 years, many companies have trusted us to tell their stories. Companies like Comcast, Instructure, Taqueria 27, UDOT, Teleris, Savage, and the Salt Lake Airport. Our team of creative professionals and storytellers at Avalanche Studios have been helping businesses grow by telling their stories. So what's your story? We'll help you tell it.
Great stories don't just entertain, they make an impact. And with the right visuals, your business story can do the same. To learn more about what Avalanche Studios can do for you, visit their website, avalanche-studios.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or It's Free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Back in Washington, D.C., there is a cabinet meeting going on right now. President Trump is taking questions from the media. Dave, I think we should probably dip into that right now.
It depends on what they're adding. Some countries we have massive deficits with, or they have big surpluses with us. And others, it's not that way, so it depends. That's why it's really they're all different. Every country is different. Some have certain advantages that others don't have, and certain things. We have China has a surplus of $1 trillion. I mean, the numbers are crazy. And others have basically no surpluses. We have some that are pretty even, but they hurt us in other ways, and we just want to get that taken care of. So everyone is a little bit different.
So are you negotiating with the EU as one bloc or individual nations for the tariffs?
We're looking at it as one bloc. They've been very tough, but they were very smart. They were ready to announce retaliation, and then they heard about what we did with respect to China and others, but China. And they said, we're going to hold back a little bit. They decided to hold back. I thought they were very smart. Look, the EU is very smart, but they really have taken advantage of the United States. They were formed for the purpose of taking advantage of the United States. And I don't blame them, and I don't blame China. I don't blame anybody. I blame the people that were sitting at that desk in that other beautiful Oval Office for allowing it to happen. Many presidents I blame. They should have never allowed it to happen. And I'm doing something that a lot of them wouldn't want to do. But I'm here, I do those things, and we're going to make this country great again. We were taken advantage of by almost everybody. I sat back in the last administration. I would actually read them. I don't have to read them now. I know them so well. I would read some of these documents that were signed, deals, and I said, who would do a deal like this? Who would do it? You've seen it, Elon. Yeah. I'd look at deals where it's so one-sided. Even we have a deal with Japan, and we get along great with Japan, and we had the Prime Minister here. He was fantastic. As you know, Abe was great. Shinzo was great. He was a good friend of mine, unfortunately no longer with us. But we defend them, but they don't have to defend us. I said, that doesn't sound too good. But we have a deal, where a defense deal. We pay hundreds of billions of dollars to defend them. But if for any reason, in other words, we pay all the money. They don't pay anything. But if we're ever attacked, they don't have to do a thing to protect us. I said, well, that sounds like a wonderful deal. So that's just one out of thousands. And I just wonder who did this. And it's people that either hate our country or didn't care, an expression that you use. I think it's really a lot of them didn't care. It's just hard to believe how bad they are. Now, that's a little bit of a defensive deal, but I'm talking about trade deals, the same thing. They're so bad, you would say, how come? And even when I'd renegotiate, like, I'd go to a country, they'd give me everything I asked for. I said, why didn't somebody ask for it, like, originally? They give me everything. I think when they were negotiating, they didn't care, or they didn't ask, or they were shy, or they were very stupid, or they hate our country. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
You were speaking about Japan. Can you clarify what your vision is for U.S. Steel? You referenced it yesterday.
Yeah.
There's some questions about what you actually want to see.
Sure.
Out
Look,
of that.
U.S. Steel is going to do very well now because of tariffs, and I don't know why they even need a deal. But the only thing is, U.S. Steel, if you go back 80 or 90 years, that was a behemoth in this. That was our biggest, most. If we were around, we would have been very proud of it. Today we have different types of companies that are big. Google, it's not the same as U.S. Steel. And I love Google, and I got to like the people that run it. They're very capable people. They didn't like me so much in the first administration, but they like me a lot now. I don't know what happened, but I like them. But, I think they would be the first to admit, when I envisioned, you look at some of those steel factories from 90 years ago, it was a different kind of a country, but they were miles long. Today you see just empty hulks. Those hulks are going to be filled up very soon because of what I'm doing with tariffs. It was a different kind of a thing. But if I didn't do that in the first term, my first term, if I didn't put tariffs on, we would have, because China and others were dumping steel, billions of dollars of steel. Our steel companies were all closing. Every fact, we wouldn't have one steel plant open. And now we have a steel industry that's doing very well, but soon it's going to be thriving, really thriving. And those factories are going to be filled up, but more importantly, they're going to build brand new ones. Nucor and so many other companies call me, Nucor being a big steel company. They're building massive new steel plants, and it's great. And likewise, car companies. We have many, many car companies. 3 of them, I'm not looking to hurt Mexico, and I like Mexico. And by the way, I think the new president is a terrific person, a fantastic woman. We've had many conversations. She's a very elegant, just a fantastic person. And she's been very nice, very, very nice. But I'm not looking to hurt them, but we have 3 car plants that were under construction in Mexico. They stopped constructing, and now they're going to build in the United States because of tariffs. See, we should have never let this happen because whoever it was that was president at the time, we lost 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA. 90,000. It's not believable. How about that, Lori? You know, you're in that sort of world of factories and
build back
plants.
Manufacturing, construction jobs, and bring those workers back home.
That's right. We're going to bring them all back. But think of it, from that period of time, which isn't so long ago, we lost. I said the other day, if you had a map on a big wall like this, and if you had pins, 90,000, I don't know if you'd have enough. I don't think you'd have enough room on the map to put the pins. 90,000 factories that we've lost since NAFTA. And it's not even, and about 6 million jobs. Really, I think probably a lot more than that, but they say 6 million jobs. We're going to bring many of that back. I think we're going to bring more than all of it back. We're going to be better and stronger than ever before. But if a president, when they were leaving, said, look, you can leave, but if you're going to build a factory someplace else, and you think you're going to come and sell your steel or your car or any product that you make, your pharmaceuticals, which we're going to do, we're going to get them all back. But if you think you're going to just, all they had to do is say this, and they wouldn't have left. You know, I said it the other day. I said it with respect to, I made a speech a year ago, and I told them if I win, we're going to charge a big, big tariff at the border. And people were thinking about building in Mexico.
Let's bring you up to speed on what
plant.
we've learned today. That, of course, is President Trump. He's holding a cabinet meeting right now and also taking questions from reporters, obviously very focused on the tariffs and what's happening on the stock market. The stock market's been volatile once again today after the run-up yesterday on just all the different indexes. The Dow down 1,240 right now. It's an improvement from where it was earlier this morning. NASDAQ down almost 800. S&P 500 down 200 right now. And I think that shows us that investors are still a little squeamish, a little nervous about what the future holds with the potential for tariffs to be re-implemented in 90 days. Additionally, we've learned some news about China and the tariffs there.
Yeah, the fact that we initially thought that tariff was 125%, it is 145% when you tack all the tariffs on together. So China is absolutely been singled out. There is a blanket 10% tariff on the rest of the world, but China is at 145 right now.
Maria Chaleos up next with more coverage on the stock market, what's happening there as the tariff negotiations continue. She's going to bring us the latest straight ahead.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my Minute of News, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's